welcome to the 4Corners podcast. I'm Brad, joined as always by Matt and Shad. Gentlemen, how are you doing this evening?
Doing well.
It's been a long month and it's the 4th.
Yeah. So we had some we had some happenings this weekend. I know wrestling news has been pretty dry the last 3 months now.
Yeah, there's
At
just
least
not a
for-
lot.
At least for
Go ahead,
big
Matt.
things.
At least for
At least
something
for
you
big
can
things. No,
at least for something that warrants
Yeah.
like talking about on a show. But we did kind of have something interesting because this weekend they had another Saturday Night's Main Event, which they've been pretty universally bad this year. And it's kind of interesting because this one got really panned. But there's something about this particular episode that I don't know, it's like it hit home for a lot of people that things are bad in the Fed now and like they've gone cold.
It's kind of telling, isn't it, that that we've got the winds, the bellwether, the wind, the weather vane, whatever metaphor you want to use, seems to be turning. After it's been something we've been saying for a bit, is, all this is going on. And I think, Brad, you were the one that said that like ticket sales are the thing that lags behind the trend.
Yeah.
So
Inertia carries you for a long time.
Well, speaking of ticket sales, like they've noticeably dropped, and
Like kind of crashing hard.
by I mean at least probably 25. Yeah, they're at least probably like 25 to 30%, maybe more, but at least around that much down from what they were even 6 months ago.
No, like it's
and-
they're in like full on it's crashing like ticket sales. Like they are struggling like to fill not even like the big arenas, which would be understandable even at the hottest of times. Like you're gonna struggle to fill like the big 15,000 seat arenas, but like they've even started going down to like the next level venues, and even those are like struggling.
and I wish I could say it's like because people really just have turned cold on the product. They should. I mean, my operating status is that I think actually WWE has been some level of garbage since at least like 2018. And if you listen to the very beginning of the show all the way through until now, like over 300 plus episodes, you can see where we started getting critical of the WWE's creative direction in 2018. And I will say for me, it has never gotten better. Like I think it's bad. I think it's been bad. I think the things that people think have been good the last few years are actually not good. So maybe I'm just a hater, but
Lowered expectations.
I wish I could say, yeah, I wish I could say it's gone down. Ticket sales have gone down just because like people are kind of wising up that it's the same boring crap. I think they are, but
Well, I think it's
the ticket sales are
also
more like let me finish real quick. Like the ticket sales are because they've priced out. They've started dramatically increasing prices to the point where they started pricing out families. And I mentioned this. It's an anecdotal point, but not that long ago, it was like over the summer, so it wasn't like a week ago. But over the summer, I think a friend of the show, Christy Petrillo, he was going to take his son Zach to go see because it was in. They live in Rhode Island. They were I think Raw or SmackDown. One of the shows was in Providence, so it was like just a few minute drive to go to the stadium and watch it. Didn't go because it would have been like hundreds of dollars to get a ticket for him, even like a not very good seat, like at best mid level, maybe even just nosebleeds, like hundreds of dollars. And it's like, what's the point of that? Like, I think it was The Rock. So it's like, great, you're gonna like, what are you gonna do? Pay like $500 for you and your kid to go see like a 3-minute match? You know, unless it's like the main event, which will be like, Jey Uso stinking up the joint against like, I don't know, one of the Judgment Day.
He did stink on Saturday night's main event.
Just to go with what Matt was saying, It's not just that they're pricing out families. It's that someone from TKO came right out and said that it used to be that they kept the ticket prices where they were so families could come, but we are going to fully maximize the profit potential of our ticket
They
sales.
they pulled
Yeah.
And it's
the
like,
they pulled
wow.
the Watsy of we haven't monetized D&D enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that you say, "Oh, they kept it low for families to be able to come," which is, by the way, how you build new
Yeah.
fans, or it's part of the process. They're like, "No, we're not making enough money off of tickets, so we're going to raise it up to make more money off of you." Why? Because it is the bubble of sitting at the top of the corporate world to go, you know how we can make more money? Just make more people pay to show up. I'm sure they'll still come. And then when people don't show up, they're like, what happened? What's going on? Well, it must be the product's fault. And it's like, no, if you take Cadbury cream eggs and you screw them up so that you crack it open and it's not cream anymore, and now it's like chunky granulated sugar inside of a Cadbury cream egg, people are going to quit buying them. I'm like, I'm shocked.
And I think
It's like,
there's something to be said about, hey, your product's hot, so why don't we up the ticket prices? But that's like, hey, that nosebleed when we're cold as hell, we're gonna charge you $25 for it. That's $75 now when we're hot.
yeah,
Like there's a
Oh,
difference
you
between.
wish.
But I'm saying that's
Like,
like an understandable. That's an understandable change in prices. Like when you get hot, like your tickets. Like I would
yeah.
expect the tickets
Yeah.
to be more like when Raw was big in like the late '90s into like the early aughts, the ticket was more expensive than going 10 years ago because it was hotter.
Yeah. To go back, I think I believe it was Mark Shapiro, who's the COO. I believe that's Chief Operating Officer for TKO. He was the one who
yeah.
gave an interview, and basically to sum it up, it was like I think that he's like it angers me
That
that we
Vince
don't hold the
personally
fans up
didn't.
by their
I was gonna
yeah.
say that
Well,
Vince
we don't
wasn't
hold the fans up.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
Vince
we,
personally wasn't doing that at the entrance to every fan that came through and
yeah.
literally
He wasn't holding the
shaking
fans up
the.
by their ankles and shaking to make the
Yeah,
loose nickels fall out of their pockets. And it's
Yeah.
like, and couple this with Maven, obviously a former WWE wrestler who has like a podcast or YouTube show or something. I
YouTube
haven't
shit.
watched it. I've heard him.
He's too try
It,
hard for me. He seems
it's
like
fine.
he seems like a very nice human being. I have no interest in watching what he has to say.
Yeah, it's
It,
fine. It's just
He's try hard. He
he's
tries too hard.
he's trying too hard, and it comes off as too sanitized. That's the
Yeah.
phrase I'm using.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I There's so many shows out there, including shows from former like workers. I
If
listen
they're
to
yeah.
practically none of them. I only have so many hours in the day. I can only listen to podcasts basically kind of during the week if I'm working, when I'm working for a limited period of time, maybe. So I have a very narrow window, and I want to listen to maybe other podcasts like Voices of Wrestling, maybe, or ours. I'm not going to listen to that. Back in the day, I used to listen to like Austin's podcast or Jericho's podcast, whatever. Like I don't even listen to those anymore. It's like I don't find most people, even workers, to necessarily have a very interesting insight into things. Like most of them are just like they're part of the content thing, and some of them are absolutely. I mean, you're gonna listen to the dumbest takes whatsoever, like Busted Open with Dave
But yeah,
Greca and Bubba Ray Dudley. It's like no, thank you.
oh
But
yeah,
anyway, my
brilliant.
point is like Maven has a show, and I guess on Maven's show recently he talked about how like Vince McMahon, like one of the things he really made sure to do is like make sure that things were priced and he could get families in the door. He wanted to keep make sure like the families were covered. And I heard that, and it's like I don't think he's joking. I think he's absolutely being truthful because that is what Vince would do. And it's like how much of greedy assholes are you that basically a reprehensive degenerate rapist like Vince McMahon, who to call him morally compromised is an understatement. How much of a greedy asshole do you have to be that he looks better than you, at
Yeah.
least on this area? Because you do. Like look, it's been said, but like part of the reason that they're going hard at the paint to get rid of AEW, I think for people like Triple H, for Paul Levesque, he wants to get rid of AEW because he's bitter that that Tony Khan kicked his ass when NXT and AEW went head to head. So he's now, it's like a vendetta for him. And he obviously wants the glory of being like, oh, I put AEW out of business.
I
But I think
won.
TKO wants to put him out of business because they want to lowball the fuck out of everyone. And if you don't think that that's what they want to do, TKO literally had to settle a lawsuit in the UFC because they were dramatically underpaying fighters to the point where the fighters filed a class action lawsuit to get more money than what they were getting paid. They actually had to settle that. They have bigger problems right now anyway. That it's like, there's a bunch of UFC fighters saying, "Hey, we were told to fix fights because of gambling." That's a scandal that should actually wreck the company, but you won't really see it because there's too many people with too many interests in online gambling.
NBA's got it. NBA's has their second scandal in 20 years for fixing games and stuff, and nothing happened last time, and ESPN actually downplayed it, and they are, I don't know if it got quashed, but college athletes and personnel are going to be allowed to bet on college sports starting here in about a week. Is it? No, I think it might.
So dumb.
Like it's all fried because each league is super in bed with sports books now. They're all going to get popped for this because there's too much money to be made. And the sad thing about the UFC underpaying their fighters, like they actually pay way better than like what Bellator was paying. Like people were getting paid like 150 to show up to Bellator fights if they were on the undercard, which is just sad. But I think the other thing that why I think they're dumb, and we talked about this before about like how the pipeline into the UFC is different than the WWE, and it's something comics kind of screwed themselves on, is Vince kind of understood the idea that you got to hook them young. You get like the true fans when they're young, because there's things about wrestling, like adults aren't really going to come into wrestling. You got to keep the holdovers from like...
If you want to get adults into wrestling, then what you need are committed fans who can articulate good reasons for it. Not to be whatever. I've pulled it off, but it's first of all, you're not going to get everybody, and it's going to be a small thing.
Yeah, because there's things about wrestling that you have to have gotten in young to overlook. It's the same problem comics have. Like comics are dying because their audience is aging out, because they gave up on, DC especially gave up on children a long time ago, and then Marvel followed suit shortly after. So like kids don't read comics anymore. Teenagers don't read comics anymore. They read manga, and comics are paying the price for it. And I think you're going to see Star Wars ultimately pay the price for giving up on young people.
Yeah. It's and to hear this come out of TKO was just this crazy full-on mask-off moment, which is, we'll go ahead and say, compounded by the fact that, frankly, the product is stale and stagnant.
Yeah, because I would say
nothing's changed much.
No, and I would say even like we've ripped on him the whole time, but I would say like up until last year, I would my opinion was, I don't think it's booked very well. It's not for me, but I could understand why someone would watch it. Like I could get it. But like I do not understand, especially like the last year and a couple of months, like how anyone watches this crap. Like it's just terrible. Like you just had Tiffany Stratton hold the belt like forever in this reign that like just did not matter anymore, and then she gets squashed by Jade Cargill. And it's like, okay, what's that for? What was the point of that? And then it's like, who have they built like as a star in the Triple H era? Like maybe sort of kind of Braun.
Braun is probably the best example, and from what I understand, and I will fully admit, I could be wrong, but on the women's side, for new people that they didn't purchase that they didn't bring in with, the same gimmick from elsewhere. Stratton's probably the best example of a new person they've elevated in-house.
Yeah, but I don't know if she's really over though. She seems like she's like gets talked about a lot by the insular online communities that are like too into women's wrestling, and then like no one gives a shit about her like that
But
actually pays money.
but that's not what I said. I said that the one they've elevated most. I didn't
Yeah,
say was over the most,
that is true.
And that's an indictment on them. If this is a person that we've been elevating so that they can be, the next top person for this division, and everyone's going, um, how over are they? Then you've screwed it up. There's no question. If it's like this is supposed to be our next big star, and everyone's like, "Are you sure about that?" Then they're not going to be your next big star, and I don't care what you do with it.
Like I think Stephanie
I
Vacker's kind of in the pipeline to being that. I think
Okay,
they
you know what? You're right. Vacker more so.
and I think they
uh,
wanted
uh,
Julia to be that, but there's been a number of reasons she's failed, and it's not all been on them. I would say.
Julia is an interesting one to me because like she should be a bigger star and she isn't. And there may be reasons even specific to her, but I've kind of pointed this out on social media before, and I think it's true. It's like Julia was a star in Japan, should be a big star in the WWE, but someone like Tekla, is that how you pronounce it?
Thekla.
Tekla in AEW has gotten over more instantly with that fan base and is more of a big deal and seems like a somebody that I can see them putting one of the titles on her down the road, and she actually becomes like, a even bigger star. But she seems like somebody important right now, and she's been with the company like what, 3,
4 months.
4 months?
Yeah.
Whereas Julia has been there longer, and it's like she's like what I think the United States title holder. Do you even hear about her doing stuff?
No, I
No.
think she's hurt. I don't know. It's real weird, like,
She
because they
was. I think
don't
she's back.
they don't have like problem is they don't have like they don't put many matches on TV, so you just don't see people for months at a time.
No.
Yeah.
Uh, you brought up Stephanie Vacker. Like, this is a weird situation that's kind of similar to Jey Uso, and this is how I'll explain it this way. Jey Uso is a shit worker, but his entrance is over, and people love the yeet, the catchphrase, and all that stuff. They love all the bullshit pomp and circumstance. They don't act without, and we'll get to him in a second because I feel like how they've tried to make him a star and it's failed, but it's really because of him. But he's a reversal. She's kind of like where she's actually a good worker. She's a really good worker. But the fans don't give a shit about that. What do they care about? They don't care about. I mean, I guess they maybe like the presentation and the entrance, whatever like that. What do they care about? They care about the Gooner move that she does, where she wraps someone with her legs and then bounces her ass and hits their head into what is that? Is the devil's kiss? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
That's what they
Yeah.
care about. That's what the crowd like pops for. The Gooner move, the Gooner bait move. That's what they care
Yeah.
for. They don't care about her as much outside of that move. They don't. They
But
should.
do
She's a
they?
really great worker.
How many
But
people
that's what they
though?
care about.
How many people though does their fan base give a shit about outside of the thing you're obviously supposed to cheer for, like the say the line thing? How many of their workers like? Is it even double digits anymore?
No. I mean, the two.
Oh no.
If you're going to just talk women, I would say the two women that have been made stars is Tiffany Stratton. But I looked it up just now. You talked about how she won the title on January 3rd of this year, and she just lost the title. So like an 11-month reign. And I'm looking and I see Nia Jax, Naomi, Bailey, Charlotte, Trish Stratus, and then Jade Cargill. So that's 6 people. Some combination of those 6 people are the only people who she actually wrestled for the title over that 11-month reign. 6 people. That's at least what I'm seeing on Cage Match. If there's more, I don't know, but it seems to be pretty definitive because it's showing like SmackDown tapings, pay-per-view or premium live event stuff. So it's like in an 11-month reign, you only had 6 different opponents, one of which she actually won the title off you. It's like that's kind of embarrassing. Like
It shows the lack of
I
depth
don't know.
you have, or the laziness of your. There, it says one of two things.
Yeah.
It says your booking's lazy, or you have no depth to your division.
Yeah. The other woman I would say actually who has become a star. I'm not even going to say like Io Sky because she's great and they put the title on her and they've been using her, but it's Rhea Ripley. And Rhea Ripley actually, I would argue, is one of the biggest stars in the company. She's bigger
Yeah.
than Charlotte for all the bullshit they did a few years back where they gave Charlotte this massive deal. Even said like, oh, we see her when she was like 40. And it's like, oh, we see her as a bigger star than Mercedes.
Yeah,
Sasha
and-
Banks. We see her as a much bigger star. And it's like, and then she immediately like her knee exploded. So she was like on the shelf for like a year.
And remember,
But-
she went to NXT and did not alter the ratings whatsoever.
No.
And Becky Lynch did like move ratings, so like that's been a thing with Charlotte for a long
NXT
time.
they did.
They say,
Yeah.
oh, Charlotte's this big star, and then there's like no metrics that back it up. Whereas like with Becky there is, and I think even Rhea there is, and I would bet that Bianca, who should be their biggest star, they've just done nothing with in the Triple H era because.
And they've done things that I would actually say have like really been detrimental to her.
Oh, I think
Like that.
the Becky Lynch comeback where she just chumped her out. Like I don't think she's ever fully recovered from that.
Didn't she do that like twice? Wasn't there another that they got in a feud and like she also got chumped out?
That was
I don't-
Lia Valkyrie, I think, is who she.
Oh, okay.
We remember she came back, they won the titles, and then she turned on her, and then it was really stupid. And everyone's defense was like, "Oh, like this is so Becky Lynch can put her over." And then like I think Lyra won the first match by like DQ or something. Then Becky just buried her after that, and she hasn't
Which
done a damn
Go
thing
ahead,
I
man.
remember. I remember that because a guy that I like to follow on Twitter, Keem, and he's got like a couple accounts, but I follow him. And when that all happened, because it happened like this year, I believe.
Yeah, it
I think
happened.
it
It happened after Mania,
was-
I
it was-
believe.
Wasn't it Clash at the Castle or like one of the European pay-per-views? I still call them pay-per-views. I refuse to use.
I'm pretty sure they won the tag titles at Mania, and then Becky turned on her the next night, which kicked their feud off.
But
remember,
Lyra,
Mania
like, they
was
fought
like
each other.
uber late this year.
Yeah. Lyra like won the match and people were on social media crowing. It's like, oh man, like this is it. Like, this is like her moment. Like they've made her, like she's going to be the next big star. And it's like Keem, I remember him saying it's like good for her winning. This is going to mean absolutely nothing in like 2-3 months. Like basically like bookmark this, you'll find out that I'm right. And here we are. Just like, no one gives a shit about Lyra Valkyrie. Do you hear anyone talking about her? Like, no, like no one cares.
supposedly, and this came out of the Observer, Becky did want to work with Lyra Valkyrie and put her over. And if that's the case, then that means that the booking screwed the whole idea over. And
That sounds like
like-
PR puff for Becky, because the Becky Hogan thing, it was a thing long before.
I'm just saying that's what I remember it being, and despite what the mouth breather contingent on Reddit or whatever site you go to, but Dave doesn't know anything. It's like, no, Dave, there's a handful of guys that hit a lot more than they miss. It's just what they say is misconstrued. They were like, Becky was wanting to do this to build Lyra up, and I'm like, okay, if that's true, and that's the conceit I'm going with. If it's true, and Becky wanted to work with her to build her up, I fully believe Becky Lynch is smart enough to know that if you're going to build somebody up, you've got to put them over, and to just start a feud and then squash them, it's like, Because if Becky
I
wanted to squash her, she could have done that a lot earlier.
Yeah, but the
I
the
have
problem is people online don't understand how wrestling works. So they think like because they did this when like Undertaker chokeslammed Braun. They thought that like Braun got something out of that because he interacted with the Undertaker. It's like no, that's not how it works. So,
No.
so a lot of these people think like, oh, just because she had a match with Becky that elevates her. It's like, well, no. Like one, even if she had beaten Becky and moved on, like you have to have follow up. Like you don't get made. Like that's the problem with WWE fans, I think, because they've been trained into this moments mentality, and that's not how it works. Like yes, beating Becky would be a big thing for her, but the next 6 months also matter.
I I like Becky. I have liked Becky. So I don't want to. I guess some respects don't want to believe the Becky Hogan thing, but there's been too many things that I just like. I kind of believe the Becky Hogan thing. I
Yeah.
think that there has to be some validity to it. I'll say this to your point. You're like, I don't know that it's true. I kind of with Brad that it's this just sounds like
There's
PR
a lot of
puff.
smoke. There's a lot of smoke with
Yeah.
her that's starting to make
Yes.
me question the
Yeah.
validity.
I think that, but I think well, and in some ways I get it too because she's like, I don't know how old she is. She's probably like in her mid to late 30s. So, and she's been around a long time. So it's like you could be in that you're a star, but you could be at that point of your career where you're like, you do what older, starting to get old wrestlers do. It's like I got to protect my spot, you know, which is not. It's this has been happening, forever. But I will say this: I think I'm with Brad that that sounds very PR puff to me, and could have been even fed by Becky or Seth Rollins to Dave being like, no, no, like this is what I actually wanted to do, or this is what we wanted to do, but the booking. Uh, but I do find it interesting because there's been stuff that's come out to the Observer recently that have been really kind of passively shit talking Triple H, Paul Levesque, and Paul, is the booker, and he always like tries to have it both ways where it's like if something's great it's like, oh, that's me on the head booker, and if something's bad it's like, oh, this wasn't my fault, these other things happen, and it's like you don't get it both ways, or you shouldn't. But there has been some really critical stuff lately about Paul Levesque, some stories that have come out even most recently, like the last like 2-3 weeks of the Observer, where it's like, oh, there have been some concerns because he seems like he's doing a lot in politics, like going to the White House and things like that. And it's like that's a really curious statement. But it's like it's written that it's like there are people in the WWE, probably somebody. And I think some people are like, oh, it's not hard to figure out who. And I think they almost were implying like, oh, maybe it's Paul Heyman or somebody. I don't know. I don't know who it is. Maybe it's multiple people. But I think that there are people in the WWE who don't like Triple H.
I
I
think
think he's actually
he's
getting set up. I think he's going to get set up to where it's like it's starting to cool down. It could get to a point where they're like, he's the problem, and kick his ass to the
yeah, that's
curb.
what I
I
think's
don't know.
happening. I think he's so here's my thing with Triple H. I think ultimately he's not like he's a schemer, but he's also not like a smart person, and I think you can see through things like the Ron Killings thing where he's being set up as the fall guy.
Mhm.
And he's not
But
seeing it, and he's like, and I kind of wonder if the politics stuff is also like someone behind the scenes is egging him on to do that stuff so they can be like, look, his attention's divided. I wonder if he's getting played on that end too.
well, I mean, look, I don't think he's bright either, but he actually could have enough like cunning that he could be doing that to try and butter himself up to like people in the administration, not necessarily Trump, but I mean people in the administration, so that if they do start getting rid of him, he could be like, hey man, like you gotta put pressure so they don't fire me, because TKO is trying to suck. They've been trying this whole thing of sucking up to this administration and the whole kind of like right wing manosphere, because they think kind of cynically and callously it's like, oh, like we have like combat sports and pro wrestling, it's like this very male orientated audiences, and those are trending more right wing now, so we got to like latch onto them. It's not worked out well, but I mean I think
It
that they
hasn't. It hasn't. I would argue it hasn't hurt UFC. Like some people bitch and moan about it, but I don't. Their target demo that hasn't affected because, like, I think the way they position themselves, like most people are not terminally online. Like if you even fall like left of center, they don't do anything like that, like outrageously. That would be that outrageous from what you would think. And I don't. They don't do stuff like WWE does. Like they do. They don't have like
Well,
the overt racism problem that the WWE has.
no, but they have had the current president at shows, and we've got the current president saying we're going to have a UFC fight
Yeah, but
on the White House
that's
lawn.
because that's his he's into it though because that's the thing I think where WWE comes across as really pathetic on that end is they're yearning to get him at like a show and it's like with the UFC thing is like that's his deal. Like he's into that. He's not into wrestling. Like I don't think you're going to get him to show up at like a show. And like what do you even get out of that? Because like I said again, the UFC is a very different thing to the WWE from their fan base to a lot of that stuff. And like the UFC fan base largely doesn't care, but like the wrestling fan base does.
I think what a lot of people forget is that a big part of the wrestling fan base, for lack of a better term, it has a fair amount of theater kid to it. And if you narrow what you're trying to appeal to, you're going to start cutting people out. Like you said, UFC's got a pretty well defined fan base.
Yeah, because like I said,
But
if you're like a UFC fan and you're like a more liberal leaning person, you're still within their demographic, so they're not going to do anything that's crazy out of bounds to you. Like you because you're not because even if you're like more liberal, you're not like what a WWE fan's going to be. You're going to be more like a center left person. So it's not going to necessarily be as out of whack as like a WWE fan that is like a theater kid where like you're way on the other side of what they want or think.
I'm not sure I agree with you about the UFC demographics, but I think that the UFC demographic is largely solidified. It has been a really consistent group.
I guess what I'm saying is what UFC is doing is not as out of whack with the fan base they have as WWE is with their fan base.
Okay, that I could roll with. That they're
Because what I'm saying is a UFC fan, even if like you would lean more away from what they are, you're not like super far away from them. So it's not like as egregious as WWE where they're like miles away from what their fan base would think. Is what I'm saying. Like it's just it's and I would say UFC's less obnoxious about it too.
still not in it. I'm agreeing with the end result. I'm not sure I'm with you on the path to get there, but that's largely beside the point.
Because WWE
But
is
to have,
way out of whack with their fans. Like I think it's
yeah, well,
absolutely stupid what they're doing.
yeah, and it is if like I said, wrestling has a broad appeal because there's the physical side to it, there's the performance side to it, and it when you start targeting at specific people and having the company, and there's a reason I'm saying it this way, having the company start carving out or narrowing its focus, then you're going to lose people. If you have a particular member of the roster, and for example, I'm going to use Brody King as an example. Brody King made a statement on the Arena Mexico show. That guy made that statement. If you like it, you're happy for it. If you don't like it, then after a segment, he's not going to be on your TV again. And you can wait and watch somebody else. But if the entire company is narrowing its focus, it's carving people off of its fan base.
Well, and I heard a guy he talked about this with I think late night. He was talking about what happens when you go political is people think like it's a 50-50 split, but when you go political one way or the other, it's not. What happens is 50% of the people automatically turn you off because they don't care and they would rather have their teeth pulled out than like listen to anything political. And then of those, the last 50%, then half of them want to kill you because you're going against them. And then so instead of splitting it 50-50, you split it 75-25. And the thing is, I think what's extra stupid too is we have like the last decade of Hollywood and all these other companies going super left and it blowing up in their face. And the thing is, when they're just doing the same thing going right, and it's going to blow up in their face the same way because you're doing the exact same thing, and it just you're just going to alienate people. And the problem is, again, so what they're going like the same way the UFC is. I would say in a more obnoxious way, but the problem is those people are not going to watch you because they're watching the UFC.
Of them are. Yeah. There was a time wherever those fan bases had crossover. I don't know how much they still do.
No, because this is an argument I had on PWO for a long time, because a lot of them are older fans that remember like the 70s and the 80s, and I had to, I had this argument a lot because they would complain about some of this new stuff, and it's like, look, like wrestling fans aren't sports fans anymore. Like if you go to a hockey game or whatever, like it used to be, yeah, wrestling fans went to that stuff, but like wrestling kind of got tied up in nerd culture. So like a wrestling fan now is not like a sports fan, not necessarily. Like I would say when I go to shows, if I wanted to talk about like the NFL game, like I would just get blank stares at most of the shows versus like 20 years ago.
Yeah, because a lot of the people who are actually going to the shows, like they're going to the shows because they're into wrestling. Like they're not necessarily into like real sports.
Yeah.
Because they would just go watch the real sports. Like they would even just not pay a ticket to go see the wrestling show. They would just stay at home to watch like, college football or whatever. Like, yeah.
And because like UFC, you got old boxing fans, you got, sports fans, they have more of like that demographic of of like a fan. And I would say that the wrestling is much more, because I think that's kind of what people don't realize. And I had to tell I still have to tell wrestling fans, like wrestling kind of got caught up in that nerd boom of the early 10s. Like wrestling did get like caught up in that and elevated a bit, and it's kind of slid back off as the nerd boom has ended. But so I think that's where they just don't understand their fans. I think that's the problem with their shift politically, is they don't understand their fans.
I think that's fair. Is that there's okay? You remember what came out of one of the meetings after it, as it turned out, the WrestlePalooza tanked, and Levesque was like, "We work them, they don't work us," and it's like, no, apparently they worked the hell out of you. You way overestimated how much people give a shit.
So that.
Oh, you mean about Mr. Rapey Rape being on the show?
Like the WrestlePalooza thing as a whole.
It did disappointing numbers. It did disappointing numbers, and no one has shared exactly what the numbers are. I think someone actually threw a figure, which I don't know, but it was like well under like 200,000, may have been like closer to 150 or something. I don't know. It may have been less than that. I don't recall it. I didn't commit to memory the number, but it wasn't great. And people are trying to push back at that a little bit online. It's no, people don't know. It's not true. It's like, look, whatever the numbers are, the numbers were bad and disappointing. If you disagree with that,
if they're not telling you, like I'll use a great example of real life. Do you know how D&D 5.5 has done crap numbers? They don't talk about it.
Yeah, that's the thing. ESPN has said nothing about the numbers other than kind of like a blanket denial. It's like, whoa, we're very happy about the partnership.
And,
it's going great. It's like that's not the same thing. But this is the main thing that why it was bad is because the WWE, who was obsessed with being like, we're number one. We never do wrong. We don't have failures here in the WWE.
Yeah.
They haven't said shit about the numbers. They haven't said shit. They
And
haven't said anything. They haven't even intimated what the numbers are. So that right there more than anything tells you like, oh, they're bad. Because they rather would not even. These are people that back in the day they would talk about. Oh, the Fast Nationals, like SmackDown did this. In the Fast Nationals.
That was just
Rampage did.
That was just because they would never put those out if Rampage did well that week.
Yeah, but that's the point though. It's like they would so obsessed with looking like a stronger company that that their show on an actual network TV had to push like, oh, it did better than this like cable show that had much less exposure. That's how badly they wanted you to know like they were doing better than the competition. So the fact that they haven't mentioned this, that's how you know it did really poorly. And that's really relevant because people have pointed out, Dave Meltzer had a whole discussion about this, that the numbers that WrestlePalooza basically brought them, at least like rumored or suspected, that'd be the equivalent of like maybe this deal. If he didn't put the numbers, he estimated. He was like, if they're bringing in X amount of like subscribers just to watch WWE pay-per-views for ESPN, that'd be the equivalent of like you're worth like I think like a $25-30 million a year deal. But that's not it. They're getting like a $325 million a year deal. It's like there's no way that you're going to make money. In fact, ESPN is going to lose their pants off this deal.
I do have to say in fairness, WrestlePalooza did do shit numbers, but ESPN was largely at fault for that too.
Well,
massively
that's true, but at the same time, they could fix all of those like issues with people.
ESPN's dumbass didn't have clearance for them in a lot of areas, and then their sign up thing is so convoluted and stupid, like no one could figure out. Like, because remember that person was taught, like people had ESPN, but they had like the wrong deal because a lot of us have like legacy Disney deals from like COVID, so we're not paying the full price. So like a lot of these people would have to give up their deal and get like the more expensive deal that is the same thing they have to get the show.
Yeah. It would have been a downgrade for them and then an increase in cost. And it's like, dude, why in the world did you think that this was going to work?
And a lot of people, like, it's part of their cell phone, they're getting a discount for that. So like it was a whole thing. And I think where they're really going wrong is, again, why UFC's smarter. UFC signed all that money, all their shit's going on Paramount. They're not divvying their stuff between TV and ESPN and Netflix and like paywalling all this stuff. It's like, nope, just give us billions of dollars. We'll put everything on your service.
Put it in one place where it's easy to find and watch everything. So guess what? It's easier to drive more people to that service because it's all in one spot.
Yep.
And someone who's a fan of that's like, oh, this is great. I can watch all the stuff right here. And WWE is like, well, we got this here and this here and this here. It's just like, shit, man. Honest to God, AEW, everything is on Max. Yeah. I got it. First of all, Max, when it comes to streaming services, I think is one of the better ones. But then second, why did I sign up for it? So that I could watch AEW stuff on it. And it's just all right there.
Because, I mean, I think for WWE now, you need Netflix for Raw. You have to have cable for SmackDown. NXT would technically be network television, but, depending on where you live, you might not be able to get network television without paying for it. Then you have to have ESPN for the pay-per-views. There's still stuff on Peacock, and I don't know if Peacock still gets exclusive stuff. I don't even know how you get Evolve. No, it Evolve's on Tubi, so that's free. But still, that's something else you have to download or know how to deal with. And then there's that LFG thing, which I don't even know how the fuck you watch that. So
in having it spread, like the idea of spreading out their stuff so that it blocks out AEW from making a deal with other networks is probably harming them.
Because you probably like if you wanted to watch everything, you're probably up to, let's see, 30 for the ESPN thing. What's what's the
That's
cheapest?
just the ESPN thing.
What's the cheapest Netflix? 15. We'll say 15. We'll be nice.
16.
Okay, so you're up to $46. So we'll be real nice and say you can get like a basic bitch cable thing for $20 to get USA and CW. So that's $66. And then we'll just say Peacock because why not? And we'll say you get the cheapo one of that for $10. So you're talking about $76 a month just to watch all the WWE stuff.
Yeah. And Vectron in chat pointed out it's also not just what service has your thing, but it's also what works for everybody in your household. In my house, it's just as an example, we don't have Netflix anymore because frankly, we weren't using it and we needed to cut somewhere, and it's like, well, we're not using this.
Yeah,
So
Netflix is my
we're
least
not watching
watched
it.
too.
Yeah. Which bugs me because I like the thing that I like that Netflix does is Netflix gives a lot of opportunity to up and coming stand up comics, and my wife and I like stand up, but it's like not enough to keep this subscription going. And then you pile everything else on top of it. It's like, are you do you and your example, Brad, doesn't even take into account the PLE cost. It's like that's just for watching the quote unquote free TV stuff. Is it worth it? Do you care that much? If you do and it's your thing, then I hope you enjoy, but I need for you to explain it to me, please. Like God,
But I mean,
after what they've
like,
done this past year, it's like, are you happy with this? Like,
I
do you
wouldn't
really want?
like if AEW is more split out and paywalled like that, I would have a problem with it. Like, because right now
Yeah, I would too.
it's just okay. I'll pay for Max, and then I might get the $50 pay per view if it interests me, and I happen to have $50 burning a hole in my pocket. But then, hey, if I don't
Yeah,
want to watch the pay per view and it's good, I'll be able to watch it in like 9 months on Max anyway.
yeah,
But I just think their plan, like I do not know what they're doing because they're doing that. And I even think like with the politics thing, I think where that's hurting them is like I think I think you could get away with that if the product was good and you hadn't done some other things and you weren't raising prices, but like that is just like that extra little jab that I think puts people over the edge on this stuff. Because not only is the product bad, and not only are they gouging you on prices, but they're also like dealing with an administration you don't like, and like I think that's just like the final straw when the other things are a problem. Like because I think you get away with that like if the product was good. You can get away with a lot when your product's good.
yeah. If the product's good enough to drive people towards it, then yeah, you can get away with that. But if the product's not doing well,
You gotta be
then
extra careful.
yeah, you try and minimize losing people.
Because
And
look at AEW. When AEW's been better this year, like those petty bitch ass complaints don't get the same traction this year because the product's
yeah,
better. So like
yeah,
it's like, well, I don't care about that anymore because like the 80% rest of it's good. Like it's so like
yeah. What was the thing that I mean, for the most part, I enjoy watching AEW. Okay, that it feels to me more like the wrestling I enjoyed watching in the past. Okay, is there something that comes on I don't like? Okay, here's my example. Hurt Syndicate shows up, and I'm like, oh God. Okay, I'm going to the bathroom. You know what? I like enough of the rest of the show that that's just the thing I don't like.
well, and I
As
mean,
opposed to when we dropped off on doing WWE stuff, it was like it was an endurance trial getting through a show. And
just
I
to
was
get
just
to
like,
the
I
one
don't
thing
want to,
you sort of give a
yeah, I
shit
don't want
about.
to do this anymore.
I
And in a lot of cases, being disappointed in what happened with that one thing you were waiting for.
I think that's an issue with wrestling fans, though. I'm going to throw some shade at wrestling fans. There has become this very toxic sense of entitlement with wrestling fans where they think and I'm talking about every promotion. So they think every promotion should cater to them at all times or it's bad. And they'll bitch about it endlessly. And it's like, no, like you can watch any promotion at their hottest point, like even something I love like 1997 WCW. There's shit I don't like in there.
Yeah. It's like, oh, hey, it's disco.
But you know what I mean? Like that's what I hate about modern fans. Is I think if like there is one little thing on the show that's not for them, they'll bitch about it endlessly. And it's like it's not all about you. Like please, like stop.
I'm glad you brought that up because that's a point I want to make. Like Voices of Wrestling, like Joe Lanza and Rich, like they've complained a lot recently in the last like couple of weeks. Oh, Lanza went. I don't subscribe to their Patreon, but I guess I think it was the Patreon only podcast they did after Dynamite. He was just ranting and raving because it's like he was super pissed off just probably by the existence of Harley Cameron, but the fact that she had the puppet Monet and the whole segment where like Mercedes got her face dumped in the cake, which it's like the whole like heel getting their face
that is like
mashed into a cake
that goes back
is decades old at this point. Yes, it's decades old.
Like to the point where in the late 90s it was a joke of if there was a cake, someone's face. Like I showed Shad because he enjoys that one from Mid-South, like in '84, where like the Rock and Roll Express like do a drive-by and smash Jim Cornette into a cake. Like that is just,
there's a cake out there, and you're looking for who's going into it.
That's the classic example.
Yeah.
But the fact they also had the puppet, and the puppet got its face put in the cake and all that, and then also he was also ranting and raving about how like was it the Bandito Okada like match and everything. It's like raving about how like they need to be pushing Bandito basically to the top right now, but they won't, and that's a problem. It's like you can't win, and that's part of the thing. It's like, oh, AEW just all they want to do is just be a silly little sports entertainment company rather than a true alternative to the WWE. And it's like, dude, there's a whole broader argument that it's like actually sports entertainment might just actually be what the majority of wrestling fans actually want, even people who care more about the actual wrestling versus just moments and everything that I criticize, the WWE, people who actually care about it, because I care about the wrestling, the actual in-ring stuff. Even people like that, like me, like they might still actually like a sports entertainment aspect of it, but I can't tell you, and look, all of us here, we've collectively watched wrestling for the better part of like 30 years. Okay? At least like 3 decades of watching wrestling. We've seen a lot of it. I can tell you with experience, 30 plus years of experience of watching wrestling since I was a child, I cannot tell you what will fail more than being just a straight up wrestling is serious business promotion. You will never be a big. You can be a small company
you can be Ring of Honor
and be very successful, like Ring of Honor back in the day.
But even Ring of Honor had sports entertainment in it. Like that.
Sports entertainment. Or you could be like PWG, which had amazing matches. Still had some goofy shit at times that would be probably what you consider sports entertainment. Not everything is, wrestling is serious business. Like that doesn't sell. Unfortunately, it doesn't sell.
But why would
if you don't break it up with something fun, then people quit watching because they're not having fun.
Yeah.
Well,
guess what?
Like if you're gonna do wrestling as serious business and like no sports entertainment, so why wouldn't you just watch UFC then?
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Even
why
UFC,
watch wrestling?
And even UFC though has like even UFC has like a lot of wrestling tropes to it because the fighters are like selling fights. Like when like Pereira shows up in like his like war paint and stuff, like that's cool as hell, but that's also like selling a fight.
Dude, that's what you remember Chemo Leopoldo's entrance.
Yeah.
They even called it a wrestling entrance back then. What did it do though? It got attention. So what?
Yeah, look, if you just want serious business of wrestling, like, yeah, you could just watch regular actual combat sports, or basically just pull out your checkbook, pull out your credit card, whatever, and just buy like the entire run of Battle Arts and Rings and some of those like shoot style promotions from back in the day in Japan, and just like watch those. Like, forget about modern wrestling. Just go back to shit that happened like 15, 20 years ago,
Yeah, but
30
even
years
like
ago.
that stuff has like sports entertainment aspects. Like even UWFI like has sports entertainment aspects to it. It's just the thing that I think people don't understand is like when you do like a more sports based wrestling promotion, you don't get rid of the sports entertainment. You just tone it down and like change how it works.
When I have talked to people that I have gotten into wrestling, I have reminded them, listen, a good wrestling show is it's a cliche, but it's like a circus. You don't have the same thing all the time. You vary what you see so you don't get worn out on seeing the same damn thing all the time. And so what? You had so, by the way, since when did a comedy wrestling segment become sports entertainment only? What what when did that change?
Well, they've always
So
used, but there's always been comedy like for the heel to show their ass a bit. Like I'll use a great example that people would probably bitch about because it's one of Shad and I's favorite segments with Ron Wright where he sits down with the announcer. He's like, "Why you always got the chair so low when I come out here?"
yeah,
Like people would bitch about that now because they're saying that's being too funny. Or is
just it is sometimes
it
you
sports
just
entertainment?
do something.
Is
You
it
got to
sports?
do something that's going to be fun and get people's
But like,
and it.
are these same people upset like when every Christmas season at the Dallas game, someone gets in like the big like charity thing, you know, the Santa, you know, when the charity tent that's like huge for Santa, and like a player always ends up climbing in there after a touchdown or like stuff like that, like the other fun things that sports do.
I think purity tests are not a good thing in general,
No,
um, because what happens with a purity test is you go searching for reasons to weed people out. And so what? The Mercedes segment had, the puppet Monet show up in it, and this was one segment out of the show. And you don't like this
and it
segment.
wasn't that long.
Fine. Go take a dump, come back, and they'll be on to something else. Because it's a TV show, and very few things roll over multiple segments. They're usually contained segments, and with AEW, the stuff that usually rolls over multiple segments are good matches. So just let that slide and go. Okay, well, now that's done. So now we're gonna get Brodito versus Jet Speed or something, and
And
that's going to be really cool.
And it's not like it was a couple years ago where they were way too far into sports entertainment. Like that was legitimately fine to complain about, like when the Brochacho stuff was going on. Like they had veered too far into sports entertainment. But I feel like they've reined it in and they have a good mix of it. Because the problem I think AEW has had is, well, other than that time, they have a tendency to go too far in the other direction and not have, like, that was their problem right out of the gate, is they didn't have enough sports entertainment. Like that was a big
You
problem with the first like 4 months of the TV.
you just got to mix some fun into it, and that's part of why. I mean, Orange Cassidy's a good gateway into it, is because Cassidy mixes good wrestling with a fun gimmick, and you're invited to be in on the joke.
And
Um,
well, and like it's not wrestling when you get rid of all the, the goofy stuff like the
yeah, yeah,
anti-social.
okay. When I was younger, I had this book, and it was something like 500 weird sports stories. And one of the things in it was telling story. It had this thing about stories of old timey wrestling stuff, and to read the descriptions of it would have bored you to tears because I don't remember who it was. I'd have to. I don't know where that book is now, but it'd be like, the dude had him in his leg scissors for 45 minutes trying to get him to submit, and I'm like you want purist, quote unquote, just pure sport wrestling? Well, okay, you're going back to that. What? That's boring as hell, man. I don't want that.
I need
Give
a
me,
I need a wrestling trivia book. Like, did this happen in pro wrestling, or did this happen when Billy Martin had one too many drinks?
So I get frustrated with the idea of. I get frustrated when they want everything to be the same.
Yeah.
And well, look, what some people are tired of the broke bucks thing, but it's the catalyst for them having a character change. Okay, great. Let that roll out. Why? It was really funny to me to start with. I got a big kick out of the broke bucks. Now what's happening is things are changing a little bit. And, they had great matches and they were really, staggeringly annoying heels, and then things changed and it became comedy stuff and then good matches, and now the character shift is starting to happen. And guess what? Great, this one arc has like different aspects to it as you go. Cool. It's fun, it changes, and it can keep you engaged because it's the same storyline, but you're not seeing the same thing over and over again.
I don't know. It's just frustrating. I get really frustrated with wrestling fans because there's really, I think it's always been kind of a problem, but like I think with social media and like stuff, there's like this real, like, there's this real strong sense of like if not everything is catered to me, then it's bad, and I'm gonna bitch
Well,
endlessly about it.
and social media has the unfortunate effect of everything. Let's push the negative to the top because rage engagement draws
Yeah.
people in.
That's
Matt?
true.
You're gonna say something, yeah?
Yeah. I almost is it partly? I hate to be like old man yelling at clouds, but is this partly like a generational gap too? I think you've hit on something with social media. The social media, I think, has made things like dramatically worse, like in many aspects of society. But I I wonder in some part, is there a little bit of like a generational thing? Because like back in the day, like we all like we brave the message boards and things like that. It's like we dealt with flame wars and things like that.
Yeah, but it's
So
older
nowadays
it's
things,
older fans doing the shit though. That's what I don't get. Like
well,
my
maybe,
my
yeah.
the people
Is
I
that
see
Not
doing it a lot.
just.
But I see a lot of older fans doing that a lot. Who should know, fans that
because
should know better.
if it was younger fans, younger people, I'd be like, well, you didn't, you haven't lived
Yeah.
through like the Wild West days of the internet, like some
Yeah.
of us. Because back in the day, like, is like, oh, I got death threats. It's like, yeah, it was common to get death threats. Basically, it's like, hi, I have a minor disagreement with you about this. It's like, fuck you. I hope you and your family get cancer and die. And it's like, you would get
Oh
that all
yeah.
the time in message
Yeah.
boards, whatever. You just had to be like, whatever. Like,
Oh
there's
yeah.
actually a
I
famous.
remember. I'm sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, there's a famous like Tyler, I think it's Tyler the Creator, like tweet where it's like, "What do you mean you've been cyberbullied? Just like look away, motherfucker! Like look away, like like close your screen." Like
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's just ignore it, roll it off your back. What are you gonna say though?
There was. I remember one back from the board where the three of us encountered each other.
Yeah,
I said something, and I had one guy say, "Fuck you! I hope you die bleeding from your eyes and your asshole." And I was like, and the story was
highly
me
descriptive.
me being mean to a rude customer when I was flying a cash register in a grocery store. And he said that, and I was like, "Dude, what the hell is your problem?" And
But
his response is, "You shouldn't treat people like that." And I'm like, "You want me to die because I was mean to someone you don't know? What the hell is wrong with you?" And the guy never responded to me again. Guess what? You push back a little bit, it goes away. It's classic bully stuff.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's social media, but I don't know.
People
Because
don't
there.
understand that because So I think the problem is a lot of people don't understand how the internet works and are on the internet now, which makes it worse. Um,
Hmm.
it's really kind of crazy, especially young people like don't understand like the concept of the internet, which just blows my brains out. Um, but like I think spaces are encourage toxicity now. Like Reddit, like specifically encourages you to be toxic as fuck because they're
Reddit, Twitter. What happens is that the stuff that gets put in front of you is the stuff that has a lot of engagement.
yeah
The stuff that has a lot of engagement's what they want you to engage with. And that's why you get things like rage bait comments. Not because people agree with it or think it's good, but because you get people pissed off and they respond to it and they're yelling at you and that sort of stuff. That's what social media algorithms are pushing to the top.
and
And so you
Reddit
see the negative all the time.
and Reddit reinforces their own echo chamber with how their karma system's set up.
Yeah, because people don't understand how that's supposed to work either.
Well, no, I think I would
Reddit,
argue it's working
Twitter,
as intended. Now.
Facebook. Well, it was supposed to be. Do you think this contributes to the discussion or not? That's what it was originally supposed to be. That's not what it's used for.
Blue Sky's is pretty crazed and insanely toxic now too.
Which is a shame because Blue Sky when it started out, it was actually pretty chill, and you could have people having a discussion and agreeing on stuff, and
yeah, but that's
then it went the way of.
That's because all the people that were ruining Twitter went over to Blue Sky and ruined Blue Sky.
Yeah, pretty much.
And now they're all going back to because Twitter actually got better for a while when Blue Sky showed up because all the crazies went over there, but then they realized that they weren't getting enough attention on Blue Sky, so they're going back to Twitter and ruining it again. So,
but social media is driven not by quality content, but by engagement. And what drives engagement? What is that? XCKD. Honey, are you coming to bed? Clack, clack, clack. No, someone is wrong on the internet. That's social media driving. That's what that is, 100%.
I would also say all of that's also made worse by the fact that politics has just permeated into everything and has made like people extra divisive towards other people over like oftentimes minor disagreements politically.
Yeah. And you're dehumanized because I just went through a training about this.
You're othered because you don't.
Because you're not a real person, and not having face-to-face conversations damages your brain.
Yeah.
Not having real life, honest to God, person-to-person communication damages your brain.
Yeah, because they don't understand. Like I feel like there used to be this idea back in the days. Well, one, you didn't talk about politics to begin with, but like when you got to know someone and you kind of knew their politics, like it made sense to you. Like, oh, well, I understand why they believe what they believe because of the life they lived. It led them to those conclusions naturally. And when you're on social media, you don't understand that. You're just like, no, you must believe current thing or you're evil.
Yeah.
That is something just certainly about politics, but yeah, in many aspects, it's like it's become so polarized, but also to the point where it's like you have to agree with me 100%, and if you don't, you're not just wrong, you're evil. And it's like back in the day, you could use like, well, agree to disagree, and that's come kind of contrite, but it's also like, well, I don't agree with this point, but whatever, like we can find a common ground. It's like you can't do that anymore. It's like it's all or nothing.
It can be you can be on the same.
It's so tiresome. It's like you don't want to even engage anymore.
You can literally agree with someone like 95% of the way and just have like one or two minor points of variance. They're like, well, you're just a Nazi. It's like, what the fuck? I agree with you on everything else. Like,
yeah, not the one sliver.
Yeah. It like that's like what's crazy to me about that stuff because like it just but I think that's made it worse. Like that's been an easy way to push more engagement, but I think also to create more division to push more engagement on that stuff too. And I think it's also that's also made worse because we've talked about the grifters before, but I think that's also why you see the grifters just get progressively more extremist as they go, because that's the way the engagement like has to pull you.
Yeah. If you're making a living off of it and you want to keep your job basically, hey, guess what you got to do? Now you got to lean into the damn grift because that's what you got to do if you want to keep your job and keep what you've set up, your income around. Now you got to run with whatever the current grift is.
Because because I've said that about this podcast. Other than COVID, when everyone was getting like tons and tons of like views and listens, but like I've always said,
Yeah.
like this podcast and this show will never do like well because we're not overly mean about things. We're fair. Because if I wanted to make this show a lot bigger, I could. I know exactly how to, and Shad does too because he's done some other stuff. Like I know exactly how to get like to a certain point with it, but like I don't care. Like I do this for fun and stuff. I don't want to make a career out of it because God, that just like all those people just go insane after a while. But like, yeah, I think I see new fans do it, but I do see there's a lot of older fans that should know better. I also think the older internet worked a little better just because everyone kind of knew the rules.
The rules were clearly posted wherever you showed up.
Because there's
If you go if you rolled up to the chat board where we were at, big banner at the top, these are the rules. Quit being a shithead. You
Right.
know what doesn't happen on Facebook, Twitter, anything like that? They don't tell you the rules up front.
No, because in places like Reddit keep them vague because they want to selectively have control and selectively enforce those rules so they can do whatever they want. So they don't have like because if you get into like most subreddits that get ruined, is like their rules are contradictory and vague because they want to just do whatever the fuck they want. So they don't want like hard and fast rules. But also like where it's still crazy to me, but like back when we were on the internet too, like the concept was don't feed the trolls. And now like for some reason, like the idea is like, oh no, that's bad because they're bad people and like you're silently like agreed with them, so you need to feed the trolls. And it's like, no, don't
No.
feed the trolls.
The reason that we all said don't feed the trolls is because we didn't want to see more of the trolls, and it got them to shut up and go away.
And like you're reacting to them like they actually believe this and they're not just doing something to tweak you for a reaction.
Yeah.
That's the one that kills me is the constant and consistent feeding of the trolls. But I do think it'd be interesting though to talk about because I think it is fair to say that WWE's gone cold because Saturday night's main event was not well received. The main event ended up being CM Punk winning the world title from Jey Uso in a terrible match, just terrible. Like there's a point where he does the go to sleep, and Jey just falls on him.
Oh yeah, he tries to pick him up for it and falls over.
Well, I think that was entirely on Jey. No, I don't think Punk did anything wrong on that one.
The clip that I saw, it was he's got him, he goes to pick him up for it, and then like stumbles and falls back, and I'm like,
yeah, but couldn't that be?
Go ahead.
There was one where Punk was giving him like it was supposed to be just like a a swinging neck breaker. It wasn't even like a fast one. It was just a swinging one. And Jay took it on his face, where it's like he didn't do and like just do like the flat back bump.
No,
Flat bump, boom. Can't do it, Mr. Hitman. But he like went down like he was gonna do like a DDT, and it's like, what happened there?
Yeah,
but
he rolled
this is how you
around for the neck breaker, and then he kept going.
Punk.
Like,
Punk
this is how you know it was.
Punk,
this is how you know it was bad. Like Ibu, who's Punk's boy, like they actually talk in real life. Like, he was trashing it.
I have
shitting
his.
on it, being like, why would you book Punk against a match he would have with someone he would have zero chemistry with?
I have one of his tweets up here because I do think it's interesting. But also, Punk did commit one of the cardinal sins of wrestling on that neckbreaker spot because he repeated the spot, which is
Hmm.
Which is admitting that you screwed it up the first time. So it's like, well, I'm going to do it again
do
to
they
fix it. And it's like you're just calling attention to the fact that it was done wrong.
do they do they in wrestling school do they ever say do they go over that with you of like if you fuck it up just move on? Like do they teach you that or anything?
It depends on how good of a trainer you've got. Some trainers are going to say, for example, I was having a conversation with a dude at the last show I was at, and he went out and had a match with a guy who he had not, he didn't have enough reps in, basically. And the guy was really down on himself because he's like, that sucked, and I don't want footage of that out there. And I was like, dude, take a deep breath. I know that was, you're disappointed because that didn't go how you wanted it to. I didn't say that match sucked. It didn't suck because he did a good job, but I didn't say that. I said it didn't go how you wanted it to. And he's like, no, it sure didn't. I said, then you had a stinky match. It's going to happen to everybody sooner or later. Just move on. But very rarely do they come right out and say, they don't come right out and say, don't repeat a spot. Because I don't know why, but
I
there's
feel like
there's a
Rip
whole
Rogers
bunch of
would.
rules. There's a whole bunch of rules that nobody ever actually tells you.
I feel like Rip Rogers would tell you not to.
Maybe. There's people who are good trainers, and then there are people who do trainings, and it's like maybe you shouldn't be, but he's the one that is buddies with the promoter and gets, some extra pay for doing the training stuff. And it's like, really kind of wish someone else was doing it. Because if I would just be like, okay, all right, if I was going to run a seminar, I'd be like, y'all sit down and just listen. Because I'm going to tell you shit other people aren't telling you. Like ring stuff, everybody talks about that. Sit your ass down. We're talking for a minute.
Yeah, because I'd be like, okay, if you blow a spot, just act like that was supposed to happen and move on.
Or just, yeah, if you blow a spot, just leave it behind. Because if you repeat it, then what you're doing is telling everybody that it was done wrong the first time. And what's everybody going to remember? That it was done wrong, that you screwed it up. And doing it right does not make it better.
Yeah. And
it just puts a big neon sign on it.
And I think I would tell people, especially new ones, I'd be like, okay, look, if the crowd's chanting boring at you, that's not great, but they are reacting. Like, if that's better than quiet. Like, so figure out how to get them to stop.
If they're chanting boring, you have an opportunity to pull them in.
Yeah.
If they're not making any noise whatsoever, they have quit caring.
Yeah.
And that's a lot harder.
Yeah, because at least they're doing something. What would be some of your other hints? What would be some of your other words of advice?
For God's sake, slow the hell down. Grab a hold every now and then and talk to each other. And if you're here's a big one, because this is something else I've had to tell people before. If you're a heel, don't hide what you're doing. The only person that should not see what you're doing is the ref. Because if I pull a pair of brass knuckles out of my tights and I just pull them out and pop you and put them away, then there's going to be this big section of the crowd that doesn't know what happened. I watched a dude, check this out, last show I was at. I watched a dude, he grabbed this rope that he had off the post where he hung it, and he's walking towards the other guy, and the ref's like, stop, what are you doing? He goes, I'm going to choke his ass out with it. No, you can't do that. Stop it. No, get out of my way. And the ref takes it and goes past him, and when he does, he just pulls open his singlet, reaches a hand down in there, pulls back real big, socks the guy, and then puts it back in. Do you know what he pulled out of his singlet? Nothing. But the ref is that way, and now he does this big production of pulling something out and hitting him with it. The whole crowd sees he did something he wasn't supposed to do. And so if I pull a pair of brass knuckles, you put it on up here where everybody sees it. When I would use a chain shot, I'd grab the chain and I'd wrap it around my hand up here. So it's easy to see I'm getting ready to do something I shouldn't do.
I
Or if you're going to do something like that, you just do it where the ref can't see it.
or do
Because the point is to piss everybody else off, and if they can't see what you're doing, they're not going to get mad about it.
I think good things to show them for that would be so grappler matches with his loaded boot, because he would load the boot, but he would stomp, and that was loading it up.
He stomps a little bit.
Ted DiBiase loading the glove in Mid-South, because he does that big, like, the big motion. Jerry Lawler doing hide the chain stuff. I think Eddie Gilbert doing some of that stuff, like, because I think where indie workers go wrong with that stuff a lot is you need to work big.
Yeah.
You're not working to the camera.
Yeah.
You're working to who's sitting in the back row.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Matt.
You know what I love? This is just an aside about that. Whenever you would do like the brass knuckles or like the knuckle duster or something, like you're punching a guy with like a loaded weapon.
Yeah.
I always loved not even like just the big you're cramming it back in your tights. Like obviously that works, but I always liked it when a guy would do that, and then the opponent would collapse, and they would just do I'm gonna collapse onto the guy or hold it, but then like the hand that has like the knuckles something, they just like put it under their arm, so like the ref can't see it, like they're just bearing with their body. And it's like 1, 2, 3, and it's like and then like they'd like kind of hide it.
You
but
roll out and then hide it.
I even say like sometimes like old footage or whatever, they get pointed out. It's like he's got it, but and like the person they would be able to have tucked it away, and the ref would once or twice I saw like the ref raise the hand in a match, and it's clear like around the guy's like he's like, and he was like, no, like trying to beg off. It's like that. Yeah. You can't do that obviously every spot, every time. I like that for classic old healing.
It's a lost spot that I think should come back, but like an old stuff, the ref used to ask the crowd sometimes like, "Hey, did he do something?" The crowd be like, "Yeah."
And that gives you an opportunity to engage the crowd more, because if look, there's a standard spot. You're locked up, you get pulled back in the corner, and you start screaming until the guy gets off of you, and you point him and you go, "Ref, he pulled my hair." And the face goes, "What are you talking about?" And then the heel will be like, "Ask them. He pulled my hair." And the ref's like, "Did he pull his hair?" And everybody's like, "No, he didn't pull his hair." Nothing. And what made it so funny is that the guy that I saw this past weekend who did that spot with the rope, early in the match, he did that very thing. The dude shaves his head. So when the guy pulled him to the corner, he went, "He pulled my hair." The ref goes, "What?" He goes, "He pulled my hair." They saw it. And the crowd's going, "He's bald. He couldn't pull his hair."
I was about to say that's always hilarious when a bald guy does that.
Yeah. But the thing is that if you want basic, like, I need you as heels. Like the thing that I need for heels, I would tell heels need to do is you need to make it blatantly clear what you're doing when you cheat. If you're not using a weapon, if you're going to gouge the eyes, make it a blatantly clear thing that you're doing it. It's not just like thumb in the eye, because no one's going to catch that. You rake it real hard, so when the guy sells like this, it's real clear what you did. And you get him in the corner and you're choking him, you're not like, I'm choking him. It's like you lean back like this and you're like keeping the ref away or something. Why? Because it's clear and everybody can see it. We don't have camera close-ups on the indies for it. The live crowd can't see it. And if you're going to be the face when you're doing the comeback, your comeback spots need to be big, because it's this catharsis. It gets everybody's hope up. It's not like if you're doing a hope spot and you're like, and you go and hit the ropes and the guy knocks you down, that's fine. But when you're doing your big comeback, make it big. If you're going to do a European uppercut, you don't do it here. You like pull way back and you go, and you make it this whole big swing, and the guy goes, "Oh God,"
Go watch Dusty do comebacks with the bionic elbow and how he does the little hand spin. Like that's all working big.
Yeah, because it's very clear what this is leading up to. Look, I stole that. Okay, one of my spots was I would jab, 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 and then I act like I was going to pull that, and the guy covers up. I'd stomp on his foot, and while he's hopping around going ow, 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 I'd wind up a bionic elbow for a spot. You know
Or
what? Everybody sees the elbow, they know what it is, and the guy's hopping around like a goof. They're like, "Oh, look, he's going to get him,"
or
and they get to be excited and see the build for it.
or go watch Ric Flair low blow someone. Ric Flair doesn't just hit him in the balls. He always goes like this and he keeps the arm up there. He keeps his leg up there just to accentuate what happened.
Yeah.
Or like watch anything Ric Flair does. Like Ric Flair is like, because he's economic in his movement, but like everything he does like is big. Like the way he does a knee drop with the roll, like how he gouges the eye, like even his beg off is big.
Oh. Yeah, just the big like.
Or even
Yeah,
when he's selling, he just screams like, "Oh God!" Like all of that stuff.
God.
Okay,
Yeah.
that is something that I
Yeah.
love when MJF does it. 'Cause the one that comes to mind for me was back in that Four Pillars match. Here comes Darby to do that standing diamond dust he liked to do, right? That flip over stunner. He's got a hold of MJF. He's going over, and MJF goes, "What the fuck?" right before it lands because he doesn't know what he's getting hit with. And then he gets hit with it and takes a big bump off of it. What does that do? Is that, it's this big thing that it's very clear that the face has got one over on you.
Or
And
Scott Hall with the abdominal stretch.
yeah, you got the stretch on, and then Scott Hall loved to do stuff with the little finger movements, but it added, he's got you here, and then he's reaching. And one of the things that happens, and this is endemic when folks who are like they want to be a work rate guy,
Mm-hmm.
is they get so caught up in doing that they forget to stop for a minute. How can I phrase this?
Let it breathe. They don't let things breathe.
You're right, but the metaphor I want to use is you've got to turn the radiator up so that there's enough time for there to be heat to build. You do your big comeback hit and it knocks the heel down. Don't dive on top of them because you're doing your comeback. You want them engaged. You want them invested. So you go to the corner and you call for something. Why? Because now they're getting excited to see what the next thing's going to be. And when you go, why? Sweet chin music is a good example. Why? What does the stomp do? Number one, the other guy clearly knows what's coming, but number two, the crowd's getting excited to see it coming, or they're getting pissed that it's coming, depending if it's a face or a heel. AJ's on the outside to do the phenomenal forearm. He's right there waiting for it. You know what's going to happen. And so when the guy's like stumbling to get up and he hasn't turned around yet, and AJ's like, here he comes, here he comes, here he comes, it's exciting. And when it's exciting, everybody's getting more invested. But, if you're just... You can do that for a little bit, but you got to stop and let it breathe. Okay, sorry. I'm getting wound up.
Steal from Japan for some things. Like something that they do in Japan that I think American workers miss out on is a lot of times during matches, they'll tell the ref to ask them during submission holds. And that's a great, if the move's set up right, that's a great way if you're a heel to tell them to ask and then start cheating.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that doesn't just have to be Japan.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I saw a face do that once. I was tagging with a guy who's going by the name Cousin Jed. And he's a beloved face. People adore this guy. He's got him down in a Fujiwara armbar. And he's right there, and the ref's looking. He goes, "Ref, go ask him. Ask him if he gives up." And when he goes to ask him, Jed looks around and goes, "Ah!" And because he's a face, but he's screwing with the heel, so he bites him in the hand, and then the heel starts screaming, and now the ref is like right in the heel's face, like, are you giving up? Is this gonna be it? And then you flip that as the heel, and it works the same. It's the same thing, but the dynamic flips, and it still works.
There was a Backlund Valentine match in Madison Square Garden that I've never seen anyone else do it. So Valentine was pinning Backlund, and Backlund like smacked him on the back like he was the ref, and then Valentine thought he won, and it was only a 2 count, but Backlund like outsmarted him.
That one might. The biggest danger that I see.
I don't think that would work now.
That happens is the biggest danger that I see is when you try to be too clever.
Yeah.
And that's part of what I think Bray suffered from, is that he was trying to build too much deep lore, and people are not going to pick up. Most of the people are not going to pick up on that. People that really like what you're doing, they're going to pick up on it, but most people aren't. And so you've got to be. It sounds like crap, but you've got to be basic. And you know why you be basic? Because it works.
Yeah. So
Christian Cage is cutting a promo, and then he'll just stop and be like, I told you to shut up, because it pisses the crowd off, because he knew they were kind of fading out. Yeah, it's basic. That's like heel promo 101, but you know what it does? It works. It brings them back.
Yeah. I also thought it was funny, because the what chants are really annoying, and crowds still do it sometimes. But I thought it was funny the first time they did that to Hogan, he shut it down like instantly, and they never did it again to him.
I don't remember what he did.
He just said, "What you gonna do, brother?" the first time they did it, and they stopped. And I don't think a crowd ever tried it on him again. But it's just like, oh yeah, like good job. I think I do want to know what your guys' take on the tournament for John Cena's last opponent, because that was, to me, was like, you guys just have no ideas, do you?
Matt, I'm going to give you an opportunity to go first, because I've been ranting a little bit.
Much to say about that.
Okay.
Now,
fair.
go ahead.
It sounds like they're trying to pad out shows because they don't have enough creatively going on to know what to do with it, and we're going to fill this out because we don't know what else to do. I
don't know. How do I answer that? Because it's like they have enough. They certainly have enough people that they could do more.
Mm-hmm.
It almost makes me go back to, it's going back to the whole TKO wanting to underpay people. It's like, well, if we have less people on the pay-per-view, like, we don't have to pay them as much. It's like, I think it could be that. I also think it's like, it's Triple H again. I could have talked for like the last like hour and a half about how he's not actually that good.
No,
he's not. I mean, again, we talked before the show, but it's like, the thing that most people would probably say the last few years most favorably is the Bloodline storyline, but it's like, he actually wasn't writing that.
yeah, that was Heyman.
Like, he's not writing that. He wasn't writing that. He started with Vince. Vince is when he started that, and then it was Heyman, probably with input by Roman, doing this,
and probably some Cody mixed in there with his part of it.
But it wasn't Heyman. It wasn't Triple H, and he gets the credit for it.
Yeah.
His contribution was probably more like the Judgment Day, who kind of got over just because they're relentlessly pushed, but also like they're just completely derivative of the Bloodline. But again, everything has been kind of on the sliding scale of just getting worse and worse and worse. People have noted, like, I think Cody has been greatly devalued, just partly because he hasn't been used. Now he just had like a second kid, so I can see, like, I can kind of not fault him for being like not around as much, because it's like, your wife was pregnant, you just gave birth. I can see where you took some time off either before or after.
This is where they drive me nuts with that, though, is then do recorded segments. This is the problem they had with Cena in the beginning. I also think he shouldn't. Think Cody wasn't scheduled to have the belt right now, but they ended the Cena reign early as a panic move because it wasn't working.
Oh, it wasn't working, and that was horribly bad. And a match here or two that was decent, like, it was not good. I mean, like, Seth Rollins, things started really, really badly tanking when they put the belt back on Seth Rollins,
which it always does. I've never seen someone fail so. Like, Finn Balor, who got injured by Seth Rollins, has never been trusted ever again. But Seth Rollins can fail on top repeatedly and get hurt in key spots repeatedly, and they'll still go back to that well again.
Yes. Yeah. But they just put the title on CM Punk, and literally like 2 days later, like the person who's now taking, I assume, taking Seth's spot in the Vision stable, and is now seems to be the next challenger. I presume it's at Survivor Series for the world title that Punk now has is Logan Paul. And it's like,
Oh God.
wow,
Why wouldn't you just
wow.
why wouldn't you just okay, can we have a real talk here? Why wouldn't you just have put Braun as the top guy and just have Heyman talk for him?
I think that long term that's like the plan, but they're probably going to try to build that maybe to Mania, or they're going to build Braun
Yeah,
up.
but
Maybe they'll have Braun win the Royal Rumble. Like, I don't know.
their product is crashing and burning. And it's something I did kind of want to talk about. Like they have no one. Like, it's just the same guys over and over again. Because like I said, like I wouldn't have put Jey Uso in the Punk match. Like I would have matched him up with Sammy because that's at least different, and like it would have been a better match.
They just had Drew McIntyre in a match against Cody on this pay-per-view, where it's like if Cody gets counted out or disqualified, he loses the title, and Cody still won.
Well,
it's like he had all the thing.
But how many times?
Like, how much more of a geek do you have to make Drew McIntyre look? And he already looked like a geek because he challenged Roman like a couple times for the title.
Yeah,
Roman had this stranglehold of the title.
He's Kevin Owens. He's Kevin Owens now, where like it's hard to care because you know he's not going to win. You know he's just filler.
He's a guy that he's had the world title briefly before, and it's like that's a guy that you actually probably should have tried to maybe push as like the next guy in a different world. If he had like left WWE and maybe gone to AEW, like you might see him like have had a long world title reign, or
he was the Brock killer.
Yes.
And then Brock beat him in the next Royal Rumble and completely undid it.
Yeah. But I get what you're saying. It's like it's the same guys. It's been the same guys.
Because even like Logan Paul was like a fun sideshow, but like it's a problem. I think that it happened with Ronda Rousey. Like Logan Paul was fine the way they were using him for a while, but now they're overexposing him and using him past like what he's capable of.
Look, about Logan Paul, when Logan Paul first debuted, like the first year, like you can go back to listen on this show. Like I was actually very positive about Logan Paul because I'm like he actually has, ironically, what Punk doesn't have. He actually has a lot of natural athletic ability.
Yeah.
And I said that it's like Logan Paul is like great if he like really applies himself to wrestling. Like he could be fantastic because he gets like the kind of the intangible, like working the crowd type aspects of it, and has some charisma. But it's clear in the year since then that it's just like he will go out there and they will choreograph the match before and lay it out, which I know people like DDP was allegedly infamous for like structuring the match like almost
so
down
savage.
To
I think
the move.
I think Warrior said, Sherry Martel said the Ultimate Warrior told her that when they did one of their matches that Savage gave him 12 pages of notes about the match.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think he flew, I think for Mania 3, he flew Steamboat to his house on his dime so they could practice.
Yeah.
I don't know that I wouldn't necessarily say like, oh, certain people like just script their matches. You know, I think I can understand it's like, I want this match to be like a legendary match, so let's structure it and be really like very specific, versus like every match it's like, I need this to be extremely scripted, you know, to have a good match. Like I wouldn't say that about DDP. Like allegedly he did script his matches or choreograph them beforehand, but it's like I find it difficult to believe that he just, you know, everything was a script. Like that's just not feasible. I think though,
I think though, like when you're on TV and you have 5 minutes to work, that it's probably there is some benefit to laying out the match to a degree because you're on a much tighter schedule that you
Yeah.
can't fuck up. So I think like if Shad and I are working some indie show and it doesn't matter if we work 7 minutes or 9 minutes, whatever, we'll call it in the ring and we'll get there. But like if we're on TV for 5 minutes, I'm probably be like, hey Shad, like we need to hammer this out because we're on a tight deadline.
And I
Okay.
was someone who didn't lay everything out ahead of time because, frankly, I didn't want to because that meant I couldn't adjust if I needed to. And then number two, I wasn't going to remember.
Yeah, but I'm saying though, I know that's your preference, but if we were on TV for like 5 minutes and it was a hard 5 minutes, wouldn't you probably be like, hey, we should probably at least talk a little
It's
bit?
like, yeah, oh yeah, no. Okay. Here's how I laid out my matches. If when I said that, here's my preference. Opening spot. Whatever we're doing for the opening. Heel takeover. Comeback or opening spot, cut off, comeback, finish. Those are the things that I would lay out. That's it. The in between, I'd be like, let's just call it out there. Because frankly, I can't I hated doing it. There are some people like Savage could do it, but Savage had the ability to be able to accurately predict how people were going to react to stuff, and that's a rare quality. And I think Paige learned it from Savage.
Well,
Okay,
I think the thing with Savage though is I don't necessarily know it was predictive on Savage's part. I think he was just so charismatic he could brute force it.
but that's what I mean is he could lay everything out because he knew how it would work, and he could pull it off. That sort of stuff. If we were going to have a TV match that was 5 minutes, open, big cutoff, big comeback, finish, we'll do that. Okay? And if the ref's like, hey, you got 2 minutes left, let's go right into the I don't give a damn what we're doing. We're going right into the comeback now. Let's go.
I know
Big comeback. Wham, wham, wham. What are we doing for the finish? We go here, we go here, we go here. Finish. We're done. Let's get the hell out of here.
do you think working with Flair back in the day was like, hey, we're going 60 minutes, like I got you, and then you got
Oh,
out of that
yeah.
match, you're like, oh, that was the easiest thing I've ever done in my life.
No, I don't think that was the case.
I meant like
Because
structure wise, because working 60 is probably a beast.
the stories were that Flair would be out there with somebody for 45 minutes and go, let's kick it in. And he did it to like Brian Pillman when he came straight out of the NFL. And Pillman's like, kick it in now, kick it in. He had NFL conditioning on his side, and Flair was just such a cardiovascular freak
Yeah.
that, yeah.
We've spoken favorably. I've spoken very favorably of Sting and what a genetic freak he was.
hmm
For all his many flaws as a human being, like Ric Flair, legitimately deserves the spot as one of, if not the best wrestler of all time. And part of that is because like he could do like an hour Broadway. He was like notorious. Like he would do like an hour Broadway with guys, and then go like, I'm gonna go drive like 2 hours down the road and do it again,
Yeah.
like the same night with people. It's like let me do like the afternoon show,
And
doing my Broadway from like 5 to 6 or like from 6 to 7, whatever, and then like let me go hop in the car and like drive down the road and do it all over again at like for
Yeah.
9 p.m. 10 p.m.
and
We do
Same
the
night,
opener
like-
here, we do the main here.
and
Yeah.
it'd be like kind of things like, Flair, I'm kind of not feeling well tonight. Can we do 45 minutes? Like, you're gonna cheat the fans out of a 60-minute Broadway?
Yeah.
But to go back to your point about who they have on top right now, the problem that I have is they don't, number one, yes, they've basically been beating everybody who could be a challenger.
Well, they did it to Punk.
And-
They needed Punk to bail them out after they spent the whole summer devaluing him.
And okay, here's the thing. What happened when Punk had that match with Gunter? Is he ended up laying on the mat for half the match because he was so blown up he couldn't
Yeah.
do anything. And it's like, What the hell? This is who you're going to hang things on? Seriously?
Well, then they did the
Hey,
cash in on him, which always devalues him. The whole Cena thing devalued him. Like they made him look like a geek before they gave him the belt. But yeah, I agree. He's not like he's washed. And then you put him in there with Jay, who even Gunther couldn't get good stuff
how do
out.
you have a bad match with Gunther is uh impressive.
Because look, Gunter is great, but he can only do so much. And it's old like, oh, a broomstick. It's like Jey Uso is worse than a broomstick. He's really bad.
He's an anti broomstick.
Yeah. But let me go back to like a point that we're talking about, like the guys are also the same, but also the problem they're having is like all the guys are also now 40 and up. Like Punk is well north of 40. Jey Uso is like 40. Cody's 40.
Yeah.
I think Drew, who again is
It's
like a
like
geek at this
42.
point, but he's at least 40. Yeah, I think Roman's like 40 now, and he's a part timer anyway. It's like whatever. Uh, Seth Rollins, whenever he comes back, I think he's close to 40. Like
Yeah.
you have guys who are now like old, and they just can't. Their bodies are breaking down. It's not even like because in wrestling, it's like you can work old. Although it's all relative, right? Because I mean, back in the day,
It depends on
like,
you though too.
well, think about the guys who are like, the champions or the big stars, whatever, in the WWE currently, like Cody and Punk, the two world champions, right? Like 40 and like what, 45, 44, 45. It's like when back in the 90s, 94, 95, when Vince McMahon was doing like, Billionaire Ted and, Nacho Man and Hulk Hogan's old and everything like that shit skits in like the mid 90s, like saying Hulk Hogan was old, trashing him because he went to WCW. It's like Hulk Hogan was probably like 40
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah, he was 40.
Yeah.
I think
It's
Savage
like,
was 39 or something like that.
But I
yeah,
mean,
and it's like,
Vince even tried to start taking himself off of TV at one point because he thought he was too old.
yeah, it's like, and again, wrestling is not real, so it's like you can be older doing stuff, and actually you can still do stuff of like of value, but certain people, it's like your body starts breaking down, and you're starting to see that with a lot of guys, and you're like, oh, I would put Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre. It's like that's maybe, yeah, but Sami Zayn is also like 40, and his body is breaking down.
Yeah. I
Like
think
all these guys are breaking down, so it's like you could have guys like Braun Breaker. I don't think he's necessarily ready yet. But okay, whatever. He's like in his 20s, push him. But who else do you have beside that? Like you don't really have a ton of guys.
No.
Like some people like, oh, again, it's like guys that got from AEW. It's like, oh, Ethan Page, Ricky Starks. It's like, yeah, both those guys are mid 30s. Mid 30s.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you gonna are they gonna
They're
main
not
event WrestleMania?
and Ricky
They're not
Starks.
setting the world on fire in NXT right now. You think they're going to set the world on fire throwing them up into the main event
And Ricky
on Raw and
Starks.
SmackDown?
Ricky Starks has, I would say, a very short career ahead of himself because he's had some severe injuries.
There's the discourse happened a lot this week because after Saturday Night Main Event, there was a picture that I think Punk took, but it was like Punk and Cody, the two world champions. They took it with Jade and Ricky Starks, and it's like, of course, people are like, "Oh, look, Tony Khan fumbled all of them because all of them were AEW." And it's like you should actually the takeaway from this is like actually all these main champions of WWE are all people that AEW made actually important again. But whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, he fumbled them. It's like, no, he didn't. Like he didn't. Tony Khan didn't fumble any of these people really.
No.
He did
Cody's
everything.
contract was up and he left. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, yeah, Cody's contract when he left, and there's controversy about that, like what the real motivations. But let's be real, like everything that Cody even just did an interview today where he's like, "Oh, the next contract I signed with WWE is going to be my last one." It's like this is clearly what he always wanted. He always wanted to go and be the main character in WWE, and he got that. So it was worked out successfully for him. But I've talked before in the show. Cody was not working,
No, and it was a
in
lot of
AEW
his
at the
own
end.
fault. It was a lot of his
It was a lot of
like
his own fault, but it's like part of the reason why it's like the fans started rejecting him, and why is like because he was too WWE. It's like he loved the pomp and circumstance. He loved the bullshit, the pageantry, as I called it. Like that's exactly what they care about and love, and it would make him the big main character star in WWE. That's what he wanted. So yeah, like Cody. I love also the revisionist history that people act like, oh, he's the only one who started AEW. And it's like he was the least important person in the fucking elite. Let's be realistic, but okay, whatever. He left clearly like he wanted to leave, and he did better off for himself. But it's like this was always his goal. What he's doing now, Punk.
I would honestly say I would say for AEW starting like as far as on-screen characters, Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, John Moxley, and Cody were like the important aspects of that. And Cody did do a lot. Like I think his match with Dustin like put them on the map is a serious promotion, but like it wasn't just him.
Yeah,
And and I honestly think he would still be working there if he didn't do that stupid stipulation with Jericho where he can never challenge for the world title again. Like he numbered his days right there because he.
I don't think, because I think that this was always his goal.
No,
to be exact.
why I think differently is because he cornered himself into the Codyverse, and then his stock started going down. And then when they renegotiated, I actually think if that last year didn't happen, like Tony would have paid him what he wanted. And I think the problem is like he really like the Agogo thing. Like after the Agogo thing, it was just all downhill for him. No, sorry, after the Shaq feud, it was all downhill for him.
Yeah.
And like he just
Yeah.
and I mean, even if we want to go back to WWE, that's fine. But I do think there are some things that were kill shots to his AEW career, namely the never challenging for the world title thing. I think was just stupid.
Yeah.
By the way, how do you fumble Jade Cargill by having her have an undefeated run with a title for a year and a half?
That's like this. I was gonna talk about Punk, but that's like we'll go with skip to her, the four people picture, like Jade Cargill. It's like I should listen to an old Voices of Wrestling when she was leaving AEW.
Yeah.
Like and signed with WWE. And I remember back in the day, like the stories, it's like Tony Khan actually offered her like good money, and she left, and it's because her long-term goal is not wrestling. She went to WWE because she wanted the exposure of being like, the number one company. I can get, inroads to Hollywood or other business ventures, and that's what she really wants to do. And I would say arguably it didn't really work out for her like other people. I mean, there's been since she left, there's been multiple people in AEW who've gotten like TV gigs and things like MJF, Samoa Joe, other people like who've gotten gigs outside of wrestling that she could have easily did if she stayed.
Well, that kind of came along afterwards, but I think also what she doesn't realize, because she's not really like privy to the business that much. But the thing is too, and we know from like that big dump Punk did like after he left the first time, is they will actively cock block you on Hollywood opportunities if you're not like one of their one of their boys. So I think
yeah.
And I but like the thing with her though is I think we even said at the time in our Discord, we kind of agreed that going to WWE was the right move for her. But then like the AEW Warner Brothers thing kind of got closer, so I think it was just and I think she kind of got sold a bill of goods because they just wanted to
win.
Yeah.
They wanted to win against AEW. But the Voice of Wrestling discussion said like this was the right move for her. One, it's like it had a very obviously long-term perspective that we would have. That it's like back in the day, people would change companies all the time. Like they'd sign back in the day WWF turning into WWE, but WWF and WCW. It's like, oh yeah, a guy would come for like 2-3 years, leave to go to the other company, and back and forth. And it would actually not be a bad thing at all. But now things are so polarized, it's like, no, can't do that. And no one can leave in either company, but whatever. But they argued like this is actually the better move because like AEW did everything they could with her, and what more could they do because they valued in-ring work more. She's terrible. She's never going to get better.
I don't think she.
WWE is better.
I
It's
think
better
people
for her because
over.
they will hide the deficiencies and they care more about the presentation than they do the in-ring, and that's true. WWE has fumbled her, even though they just put the title on her. But
Well, they
I
did because
agree with that. It's
there's.
like I should
I don't think
go
she's
ahead, Brian.
terrible. I don't think she's terrible. She's a step better than terrible because I've seen her have at least 2 good matches that someone that's absolutely terrible couldn't have. Like there's that Red Velvet Rampage match that's amazing because Red Velvet fed her, and then
She
the
had good matches with Stat on the way out.
yeah, but like the problem is, I think where we all went wrong is then we figured out like, oh well, she can work a certain match kind of okay, but WWE does not like working that match, which is feeding a monster, and their women can't feed properly for a big woman offense. Because like when she
I
works,
agree with
is
a
the other
lot.
woman bumps for her. Like that's why her matches with Red Velvet were good because Red Velvet would bump big for her stuff.
I agree with all that, and yet I don't think she's good. Um, I don't. I guess I would not necessarily consider you good if it's like you have to work a very, very specific match with the right opponent
No, but that
to
that
have
gets
a good
you. That
match.
gets you. You have. How do I want to say this? You have. I would say you're not terrible if you can do that because you have some merit as a worker. If there's one, if you can make something work, because I've seen plenty of workers that can't make anything work for them.
Perhaps you've
And like,
crossed you passed
it,
the low threshold of
You
not
become.
terrible.
Here's the thing: you become a position player, and a position player is not usually the star of the team, but they've usually got a role on the team.
yeah, like she's like I'm not saying she's good. I don't think it's fair to call her terrible. I think she's kind of whatever, but I don't think she's terrible. I've seen far worse. Like I mean, there are women in NXT that can't execute basic offense, and she can at least, as long as you
Well,
protect
that's
her,
certainly true.
she can, as long as you protect her and give her a competent opponent, she can hold up her end. Which is like, it's. I'm not saying she's good, but like that is something as a worker.
I think the difficulty on that is when you compare, you hold this person up against TV workers, then she's going on the lower echelon. Um, Being able to have a good TV match means that you're better than a lot of people are, and you know what your role is, and you can do that. That's great. The problem, like Matt said, was though WWE does not want to do that with people. They don't want to have that kind of match because they want a 50-50 everything.
Yeah.
So
Like they just don't, and I mean I haven't seen much of her stuff, but like I don't know. She's she hasn't worked, and I think they haven't done a good job. And I think she got fed a bill of like because even I thought it was better because like I thought the Hollywood thing was true, and like I think she'd be better off in AEW right now for getting roles. Because I mean, think about it. Joe is
Yeah,
in Twisted Metal. Um, oh, there's some other
MJF
stuff.
has been stuff.
Yeah,
was in Happy Gilmore too. He's been shooting something else right now. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
there's yeah. So I think it just was bad timing for her, but I mean, she's conned them out of a lot of money for little work, so good for her. Because the other thing I think people don't realize is, so she is married to Brandon Phillips, who played for the Reds for like a long ass time. So she is filthy, 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 filthy rich.
oh,
Like
yeah.
probably to the tune of like hundreds of millions, and like I'm pretty sure she brought a lot of money to that situation from her career.
Yeah.
So like
She
it,
was a but even before wrestling, which I'm sure like through wrestling she's made like good money, but before that, she was, I think, like a very successful like fitness model,
Yeah.
or and also did like cosplay stuff. So it's like I'm sure she, I don't know if it's like she made millions off that, but she probably
I
lived quite
know.
comfortably off that.
I think
I would
she
be shocked if she
said
made less than like six figures.
I think she said I think she said when they sniffed around the first time to sign her, the one they wanted to move down there and be away from her kid, but I think they were offering her like I think she said like she had researched who the top earner in the company was, which was Charlotte at the time. And she's like, I make more than that like in a couple of months, like so it's not worth it.
They also said to her, they're like, "No, you're going to come down here and do this with us." And she goes, "What about my family?" And someone looked at her and said, "We'd be your
We're
family
your family.
now." And
Yeah.
it's just
We're
like,
your family.
ain't no way, ain't no way I'm walking into that shit. Holy hell!
Yeah, but I
Someone says that to you in a job interview, you set the building on fire on the way out. I mean, my God.
let's I'm just for fun. I'm gonna see what Brandon Phillips' career earnings were. It'll be a lot.
But Matt, next person in the picture, because we did Cody,
Well,
we did Jade.
well, there was CM Punk, which we obviously talked a lot about CM Punk. I will just say this, like, because Dave Meltzer was actually commenting about this a lot in the last like day. He's been going back and forth with people in the last like day or two. It's like this is the only thing I'll say about Punk, because we talked endlessly about it. It's like there's still people who they're bringing up to Dave. It's like blaming it on the elite. It's like, well, none of this would have happened if they just like did business with, they were just willing to do business all on them. And it's like, it really is did these people have, some of these people, like, you just live in your parents' basement, even though you might be like 45, because you not know how things work? Because it's like only in the weird, twisted world of wrestling can you physically assault coworkers twice.
Yeah.
And yet the company and the people you've assaulted are the bad guys, because they're not entertaining this man-child's psychotic breakdowns that he
Yeah.
has to physically lay hands on people.
And
Look,
they leave out the caveat where the Bucks said, if he can behave himself for 6 months, then we'll talk. And guess what? Couldn't do
He
it.
lasted what,
couldn't do it.
3?
Yeah.
Okay.
3 months, couldn't do it.
And even then,
and blew the
he
whole
was a
thing
little,
up.
he was a petty tyrant, which
Yeah.
Meltzer, this is one of the things that Meltzer talking about recently. It's like, yeah, I lived through all that. Punk absolutely, when he was running Collision, absolutely like threw people off or banned people from being on the show, and people were like incredulous. It's like, that's not true. And it's like, I think Dave Meltzer, while not like, he doesn't actually work for AEW.
Yeah.
So I guess you could say like, well, he doesn't no, but it's like, Dave Meltzer knows more than you.
Then why
I'm
were
sorry. Guy on the internet,
the women and the
name
Hispanic
bunch of numbers. He knows more than you.
why like the second he was gone were women and Hispanic wrestlers suddenly on Collision again?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Who wants to guess? Do either of you want to guess what Brandon Phillips' career earnings are?
his entire career?
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess 200 million. Let's do Price is Right over under.
You're over for 200.
Oh,
108.
You're over, but not by much. He earned 101,361,310 is his projected.
that's
career
more money than
earnings.
I will ever see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to say she's filthy rich is probably an understatement.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, we had Punk, who has not caused any problems because he knows full well that if he does now, then there's nowhere for him to work.
Well, beyond that, it's like he's exactly where he wants to be. Like if you actually know some of the backstory behind things, like even before he signed with AEW, he contacted the WWE being like, "Hey, this company wants to sign me. Like, you want to take me back?" And Vince, because Vince was still in charge, he's like, "No, fuck you."
Yeah.
And so he signed with AEW. But it's like, and that when Brawl Out happened, Punk contacted WWE again. And it's like, "Hey, can I come back?" And it wasn't after he got fired that they made the deal. So it's like, it's clear to me. It's like it's kind of not ambiguous at this point. It's like he always only cared about going back to WWE.
Yeah.
and was going to use AEW as a stepping stone. He like crashed and burned during it, but it's like if I fully believe that at the end of like his AEW contract, he probably would have been like want to go back to WWE.
Yeah, and he was
And because
backstage
yeah,
at Raw making inroads while he
yeah,
was suspended.
yeah. You also have to realize like what Punk's long-term goal is. If you again you read the information, you hear the information. It's like he knows he's not going to. He's in his mid-40s. Like he's not going to do this like forever. He's not going to do this much longer, probably physically. His body won't be able to take it. His goal is like because again, it's not even about he. Punk isn't absolutely completely egomaniac. Like I'm going back to like the WWE documentary they did like 15
we've talked
fucking
about
years
that.
ago.
Yeah.
He is his going back. It's like he never got the love of daddy, so he is perpetually obsessed with getting validation and adulation from people. That's partly why he went into wrestling and became the superstar he is. So his long-term goal is like he wants to be like head trainer or guy in NXT. He wants to run NXT so that all these like 20-something-year-old fucking washout, burnout, like college sports guys will come to him and be like, kissing his ass, be like, "Oh, you're the great CM Punk. Teach me everything."
God, could you
Like that's his
imagine?
long-term goal.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine going from William Regal to that? Like, what a massive downgrade
Well,
that is.
going from Shawn Michaels to that.
Oh, that's still a massive downgrade.
It is. I mean, look, let's be honest. The NXT stuff has not been good for a while. It's been pretty bad, but
No, but like Shawn Michaels is at least enough of a politician that I'm sure he makes you feel like he gives a shit, and I don't think Punk like has that ability at all.
it is. Whenever that came out, the whole like, oh, Punk's wanting to negotiate and he wants to run NXT. That had all of the hallmarks of a press release he wrote to put out there because he was trying to get pressure
Did that come
for
from
people to give him what he wanted.
It might have been because that probably came from Hossman.
I'm not sure, but I mean, it was written in a it was full of hallmarks of Punk wants this out there to try and get people
I think
on
he
his
just
side.
wants.
Kind of
I
shit.
just think he wants his own casting couch for 20-year-old girls. I think that's his motivation,
Maybe.
based on his history of being a
Philandering man whore.
and bit of a sex pest. Yes.
Okay, who was the last person in the picture, Matt?
It was Ricky Starks, and people like,
Oh.
he fumbled him. And it's like, again, he's like 35,
Oh,
36.
shit.
They've already
a guy,
fucked him. They
yeah,
like
reporter who's talked about the lawsuit with WWE, but BJ Bethel, he
Yeah.
brought up a great point. It's like Ricky Starks before AEW signed him was available, and WWE didn't take him. They only took him because one, he has a Cody connection, and two, it's a win against AEW that they took this guy. Tony Khan fumbled him, and it's like they didn't because he was consistently used on AEW television up until the last year of his contract.
He's not a premier card guy. I'm sorry.
Was
go
in
ahead.
feuds all the time. Was in feuds all the time. Had like a feud briefly with MJF. Had like a well-received series of like, actually like promoted matches with like Bryan Danielson, whatever. And I like Ricky Starks, but his overall, you could say like he's been fine.
yeah, we've talked.
And by that I mean like he's mad inconsistent. Like he can have really good stuff and then really like
he and Big Bill didn't just win the tag titles, but full bore, no questions, squashed FTR.
Squash, yeah.
And it's like you can't get put over any harder than that.
I think the problem he's had in NXT, which he hasn't shook yet, because they did everything in their power for like the first 3 months to tell you not to care about him. Like they did everything, like his debut stuff. They did all of that to make you not care. They immediately put him with Ethan Page, who no one gets more over working with Ethan Page. Um, and then they kind of put the title on him right when they completely devalued NXT by like getting the stink of TNA on them.
Yeah, it's to say that Starks has fumbled is at this point it's just an urban legend, really.
I would say NXT because his name change is bad too, like the Saints thing.
Yeah,
Even like Ricky
yeah.
Saint would have been better.
Yes, Ricky Saint is so much better than Ricky Saints. There's too many sibilances in his name, and it makes it unpleasant to hear. But, you know.
And you could do like, and the thing is, if you did Ricky Saint, then there's like shit you can do with him, like aesthetically and gimmickly to like work with the Saint thing. But when you say Saints, it becomes nothing.
Yeah. Why is his name a plural?
Yeah. Oh, and Mariah May's in that picture too.
Who?
Mariah May.
Oh yeah, no, they did the exact same thing to Mariah May, bringing her in. She got the debut without having a name on it. She just showed up, talked into a microphone without referring to herself by name, which basically signals to everybody, "Hey, this is me, and if you don't already know who I am, you're not going to care."
What's her
And
name
then
again? It's Brittany
Blake Monroe.
Blake Monroe. You know what's dumb about that?
That doesn't flow at all.
No, and you know
they
how
could have done
May Monroe or Mariah Monroe would have been way better.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mariah Monroe fits perfect.
Mariah Monroe, because that has alliteration, and you have the two Mariah Monroe, like the both the double M's. It's like, I don't know. Some people have theorized like, oh, they're kind of deliberately sabotaging her. Like I'm almost like come around the other end, where I'm like, oh, maybe actually Stardom and AEW like fooled me. Maybe she just actually has never actually been that good, and I just was fooling myself into thinking like she actually was better than she was.
The problem is they no, I think I don't think they sabotaged her. I think they're that incompetent that they didn't know what to do with her.
Maybe
entrance, by the way. I saw a video of her entrance. Her entrance is such dog shit. Because what is the whole thing? They put a little vanity out on the ramp. She sits looking into the mirror, and they do the camera zoomed in on the mirror thing. But if you're there live, which is what you're going to hear the crowd there. All you're seeing is the back of somebody's head who you think it probably Blake Monroe, but you can't really tell. And it's dark, and it's just a light there, so she's going to be washed out because she wears a lot of light color gear, staring in the mirror, like messing with her hair. And then she gets up and turns around and walks to the ring, and I'm like, that is the second worst women's entrance I remember seeing. After, you remember Nia Jax's was like zoomed in on her eyes, and then it would fade, and she'd just be staying there. So her entrance was basically she walks out on the ramp. Her music hits, and she stands there and moves her eyes back and forth and then starts walking. That's what they had for it.
Remember with the Monroe thing, though, they don't care about the live audience anymore, so they do stuff all the time that like the live audience can't see.
My point is that it's really, really bad. And I can see where the idea of it being a sabotage job comes from, because that's how bad it is. But I'm not going to buy into the conspiracy, because what is it? Hanlon's razor, never attribute to conspiracy what can be explained by incompetence.
But they've already, I don't remember how the sequence went, but they like panic turned her face just so they could turn her heel again. So she's already on like 2 or 3 turns, and she's only been there for 4 months. Like that, you can't get over doing that. And then I would say the other problem she had is like, this is not to dog on Jordan Grace. I'm not, but like they tried to recreate the Tony Storm program with Jordan Grace, and Jordan Grace does not have. She's not at that. Jordan Grace is a really good worker, but she does not have the ability to elevate like Tony Storm does right now. It doesn't
fit.
Yeah.
That just did not fit. You know, to do that with Jordan Grace, entirely different
Yeah.
Entirely different wrestler. The crossover between Jordan Grace and Mariah May is or not Mariah May, between Jordan Grace and Tony Storm is minimal because they do such different things.
And their
But
personalities
let's
are different.
rehash that. Yeah, but let's rehash this feud. It's not going to work because what made that feud work was the interplay between the two of them. And you're not going to get that same thing because you don't have the same two people. And by the way, you sure as shit ain't getting Tony Storm back.
Yeah.
So, good luck.
I don't know that. And then I think uh, Jade, well, we talked about Jade, but like, I think they've not done great with her, but she hasn't been a total disaster. But I don't know. I think Blake came out the worst of that. I think Ricky's, because honestly, like Ricky Starks, I think Ricky Starks would have actually done way better if they just debuted him on the main roster. He would have gotten over.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because if you just drop him on the main roster, you're signaling to everybody this guy's a big deal. But by dropping him on NXT, you're telling everybody's like, oh, this guy that was in that other company, we have to fix him first.
And he works better on the main roster. Like he would be working with better people. He could cut promos, which would get him over. Like I don't know why they.
And by the way, if you want to say that what happened with Ricky Starks, that wasn't AEW fumbling him. That was him stepping in it on TV and then getting slapped back into place for it with that promo thing with Copeland. It's like, dude, you came out of that looking like shit.
I like how Noah just brings up Brian Pillman Jr. though. Even though people acted like he was gonna turn it into, but like we all just pretend like that didn't happen. And also, I noticed Ethan Page was also absent because Matt's been proven.
People are like, like they fumbled him. It's like, no, they didn't.
It just didn't work.
Look, Ethan Page is a pretty good worker, but he's never going to be. He's not main eventing WrestleMania. No. He is forever going to be a mid card talent, and that's fine. We have lost perspective as fans. That this kind of goes with the whole like this needs to be catered to me. It's like if Ethan Page, like a certain drunk Scotsman, is like you're a very special guy, because Ethan Page like texts you or whatever. Like if Ethan Page is your guy, like you want to have multiple title reigns. It's like, but not everyone is going to get multiple world title reigns, and that's okay. And their career they haven't been fumbled. Their career isn't a failure. If you're mid card for life, that actually is a pretty good career, especially if you're one of the big companies. It's like you were mid card for like 10 years. Maybe you don't have like the world your Mania main event. But if you're consistently used for like years and years and years as a mid-card guy, pretty good career. Like back in the day, well, I mean, now we have different perspective because we've seen guys like, say, for example, like Greg Valentine. Like we've seen some of like his career highlights, but back in the day, it's like 80s into early 90s. Like Greg Valentine was always on the card for years, just as a mid-card guy. And like that, he did perfectly fine. We all accepted it, but it's like that he had who's gonna say like, oh, Greg Valentine, what a shitty career. It's like, no, like he had a great career, all things considered, perfectly fine. So Ethan Page is fine, but like, oh, he fumbled, like, what a failure by AEW. It's like, no, he's not lighting the world on fire. No one's like TKO is their record profits aren't because like people are burning down to buy a ticket to go see Ethan Page.
And I think he's looking to be a trainer afterwards, and that's why he's hanging around at NXT. But I do laugh every time something happens because you've been proven right like 50 times over in that argument. And my favorite part of that argument was when he tried saying Ethan Page had 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and I gave you his Social Blade. Like a screenshot of his Social Blade, you posted that, and he lost his shit. It was like, that's not the point of the argument. It's like, yeah, but you were wrong.
Yeah, I had arguments with noted Twitter user Rovers.
Yeah,
who I think is really Trevor. Like I think Rover's supposed to be Trevor backwards, but he's like some. Scottish, I think he's Scottish post or whatever, who stands. He actually has a following, probably way bigger
He
following than
had
us,
he had
but
ends. He had like sources at one point. I don't know
he has
about now.
sources because I think Ethan Page, and rumored to be I think possibly Becky, because he's like not subtle, so it's like wrestlers he really stands. It's like, oh, okay, we know who you actually has you on speed dial, and I heard,
Yeah.
yeah,
He
he's
just
in your
got into
DMs.
some.
Like I think Becky was one of the other ones, and allegedly Britt Baker, because he like constantly defends Britt Baker or like shit talks people that Britt Baker has a problem with, and it's
It
like,
didn't he just get into some other?
I see what's happening.
Didn't he just get into some other spat of drama over the summer?
I think I don't know. I don't
Because
necessarily
we
follow. The,
laughed.
the problem, the ironic thing about him is that many times he actually will bring up a decent point, and it's often like an actually critical of WWE point, and it's like you kind of get it, so you just like so much of this is just bullshit because you're like, you're repping like the guys who like feed you info because you have like some weird
Yeah.
parasocial relationship with them.
Because as much as I think Ibu can be a clown, like I I do respect his opinion because like when he does like give his opinion on stuff, like that post he gave about Saturday night's main event where he's talking about how the talent has gotten is getting older and like they've gotten complacent and lax and like they're used to working in front of hot houses and now they're not used to having to do the work to get less invested people into their stuff was and talking about how creatively bankrupt like Saturday night's main event was. I'm like, oh yeah, like I like when you do stuff like this, or when he'll trash Jay, he's always on point.
You know, he did have. I'm glad you brought that up because actually I had bookmarked something uh, that in this whole discussion I wanted to mention. Like he did have that in I'm so like hot and cold on Ibu because like he will have those like really self introspective, and I feel a really good like actually contemplative tweet. But then also like he is kind of like a punk in WWE like
I
fan.
feel, I
So he will
guess,
he will look at them with rose colored glasses. I feel that is undeserved at
I
times.
feel like, I feel like with him, clown stuff aside, I at least feel like I'm getting his real opinion most of the time. Like I don't feel like he's engagement farming. Like I feel like that's how he actually feels. And if you're giving your honest opinion and it's WWE rose colored, like it's like okay, like I get it. Like that's just what you
Yeah,
like. But like the people I don't like are the people that are engagement farming or who I think are bullshitting. Like that's when I have a problem with you. Like you can love the WWE and I'm fine with that. As long as that's your honest opinion, I'm fine with it. Like that's
but
that.
yeah, I agree with you. But I will say too that he did that whole thing like you said, and it was actually really interesting because again, he for someone who is a very big punk fan, and I think as people have even rumored or even said that he like punk talks to him. So it's like sometimes like he will put out information that it's like punk wants this information disseminated or his take on things, so you're like sharing it. But I agree with you. Like I think a lot of times he's genuinely, and you could so then it becomes like, well, I disagree with your opinion
Yeah.
or your take because you have like a preference for the WWE, whatever. But at least it's genuine. It's like this is how I feel,
Yeah, and
not just
we've
like I'm
talked
engagement
about
farming.
I've talked about before how I forgive Shad for his sin of being a Kentucky basketball fan. Like we all have our issues
Yeah,
in life.
right. But
Sorry, I have
he,
taste.
yes, but Ibu put this whole thing. It's like trashing like Saturday Night's main event and making valid criticisms. Like, look, the roster's getting older. It's like it's creatively like the WWE is really bad right now. He said that, and then John Alba, who I feel goes more into the whole like you're just engagement farming or just
Yeah.
wrong. But he was like, oh, he responded to that, and that's kind of blown up, and people respond to him. But he's like, oh, I think generally speaking across wrestling, 2025 has been a really, really weak year creatively. And it's like, no, actually, it's the WWE, and this is
Yeah.
like
I mean,
very
it's
clearly, it's like now it's clearly people who are very pro WWE are moving the goalposts. It's like, actually, don't you agree, like that the entire year has been bad? It's like, no, actually,
it's not as
like
bad as
the
last year.
WWE is bad, and now people are recognizing it's bad. But companies like AEW have been largely very good. Companies like
CMLL have
CMLL have
been
been
excellent.
good. Yeah. Some of like the Joshi promotions have been pretty decent.
Yeah.
Um, other promotions like TNA's been bad.
Yeah.
Um,
But there's been like one-offs that were good. Like I
New
thought that
Japan's not been good,
Action
but
Dean I
it's
thought was a good show. Like that was a lot of fun. Like
yeah.
it's not been dire.
There's been
Like last year I thought
it,
was worse. Like last year I thought was
oh,
worse because
last year was absolutely worse.
yeah.
So be like, oh, people going like, oh, actually, don't you think 2025 is been bad? It's like, no, actually, there's been at least a couple companies that are doing really, really well in terms creatively.
Yeah.
Like AEW, yes. CMLL, yes.
Yeah, it's not like it was like 7 years ago where you could literally like trip over a promotion that had a good product. It's not like that anymore. But I would say like last year was really bad. This year, I don't think this year is great because a lot of stuff is down. But like CMLL is great. AEW, I think, like I said, if I gave AEW a grade this year, it'd be a 7.5 out of 10, which is good, like really good. Like if 5 is like a bog standard average year, it's a 7.5, which is good. New Japan is dog shit. Um,
Japan's not great.
Noah's not
Not
been
good at all.
great. I think TJPW's been pretty good this year. Stardom has had its ups and downs.
Stardom, in my opinion, started off good, got great with the whole Saya Tam Nakano.
Yeah.
Like that was almost his peak, and it's been kind of very hit or miss since then.
But it's
Um,
but I mean,
and people have criticized it recently with justification in that it's kind of been a holding pattern because they're doing a big double title match between Suri and Saya at Wrestle Kingdom. And so because of that, it's like a fait accompli. Like they're not gonna have Saya lose the title
yeah.
before then. So it's like anything that she's in
And
until
her last feud was like a
January.
filler feud too.
Yeah. So with that's what people are saying. It's like now anything with like their world title with Saya over the next 2 months, it's like filler because they're
Yeah.
not gonna have her drop the title
And you
before then.
and
So it's like
you had some one-off things like you had Io and Mayu and Marigold, which I need to see if that's on the Wrestle Universe app. But Marigold's been kind of they got Mayu, but I think they've largely not used her well. And Mirai's
no.
already leaving.
That's a weird one. Shad's his eyes probably glazing over, but Mirai left, which is like this is now like the third company you've
Oh,
left
he's
in
dead.
like 4 or 5 years.
Poking him.
Oh, he's dead. He died. Like
Poking him.
Mirai's leaving,
Oh,
and
he's
now
dead.
she just announced that she signed with Michinoku Pro
I'm still on that
because that's
Briscoe
like
Brothers sign.
oh yeah, she signed with Michinoku Pro
Oh,
because
he's alive.
that's like in her home prefecture. So
Mhm.
it's like you sign with a company that's based out of like your home state,
I think she's.
practically.
I think that's just pretends to be a freelancer. Honestly.
I think probably true. But what's troubling is like, I mean, not that you hear a lot of stuff with Michinoku Pro, but uh, she I guess did that, and then a lot of people are polling like, "What's Michinoku Pro?" And it's like, wow, okay.
Wow, I thought
I think
everyone.
Michinoku Pro is actually on Wrestle Universe,
Yeah,
so
it is.
she's leaving Marigold to be on another Wrestle
Well,
Universe. It's like,
I just, it shows how it always bothers me, and this is something that progressively gets worse. How ignorant like online fans are because it's like, okay, so Michinoku Pro. Okay, well, think about the name. So whose name is Michinoku?
They don't know who Taka is.
Okay, and then it's like, okay, they were on an ECW show.
mm,
Like I know they don't know, but like it's one of those things that bothers me with wrestling fans because like Michinoku Pro is like it's not like a big promotion, but it's something if you've been around, you should know what Michinoku Pro is. As little as it is.
We have this. I think the one of the things that bugs me is having folks who are new fans and they're enthusiastic and they're into it, and that's great. But they try and act like they're an authority when they've only been watching one thing,
Yeah.
right? And they're like, "Well, nobody knows what that is." It's like, wow, I can't even remember what it was. I saw something somewhere, and the response, the entire response thread, because this guy thought that he had like a zinger. The entire response thread is, "So you just started watching 6 months ago, didn't you?" Or what was it, a year ago now? Something like that. And of course, you don't get any response whenever you get accurately called out like that. They're not going to respond to it. But
Yeah.
you, hi, my name is name bunch of numbers, and I'm here with the worst take you've heard today. That's
Oh, Dragon Gate's been better this year too. So Dragon Gate's had a bit of an up year. I don't know much about DDT this year, but I would say there's enough good. It's not like those really dire years from like 2004 to like 2012 where like you were having to like buy DVDs to get something good. Like you were having to pick like a promotion that you liked and like watching some obscure internet show to see like NWA Anarchy or like get the DVDs for Chikara or like Ring of Honor. Like it's not
yeah,
like those days where like everything
no,
was bad.
yeah, yeah. I know.
And last year was worse.
There,
Like
there's good stuff that's out there. There's plenty of good stuff that's out there if you'll go beyond one company. But there are people in my life who whenever they hear it's like, oh, you did it or you're involved with it, it's like WWE stuff, and I'm like, no, 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 no. Professional wrestling. That's not the same thing. This is not like I know for a lot of people that they equate it with like Kleenex for tissues or something like that. But it is a subset. It is not the whole thing. And I don't know. It just it irritates me a lot because you can't you
I would even say through this
I'll
show,
just stop there.
like that's the other thing. Like through this show, like my preferences have changed slightly, and I've discovered stuff like via just this show because we've touched on like so many things.
Yeah.
Like I just did my big IVP shopping thing, and I just got like the Portland set because I was like I have not watched a lot of Portland. We did that sheep herder show, and Portland was awesome when we were watching it.
Yeah. Who was I having the conversation with? I was having a conversation with somebody this past weekend. I worked a show this past weekend, and it was like, yeah, going back and watching USWA stuff that, we're in the vortex of the endless Moondogs feud, but who I never would have thought that I say, man, I'm a Coco Ware fan, stuff like that.
Or even like Dirty White Boy. Like, I mean, coming to this year, probably like I kind of know that name, and like now you're like, oh yeah, he's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just having knowing somebody's out there and they're good, even if you have not watched everything, or you may not even like really like their stuff. That's fine, but you can also see it and be like, no, they're good. I didn't feel compelled enough to go find more, but they're good.
Like something like I'll use Dirty White Boy as an example of like a couple years ago before I watched Smoky Mountain. He'd just be like, oh, I know the name, and then now it's like oh yeah, if I was in a promotion, I would definitely book that guy, and depending on how big I was, like I would probably be comfortable putting like a big title on him and like building around him if I was a smaller time promotion. Like
Yeah.
that's how your preferences can change.
Yeah.
Or it's like, hey, that Gabe Kid guy, that guy yells. Well, I think that is going to be it for this week. So we're going into the holidays here. I think we'll try to get a couple more weeks of USWA in. We've talked about some other odds and ends. We'll probably have a holiday show. I don't think anything can top our Hallmark episode from a couple years ago. Maybe we should do that again this year. Maybe we should run a sequel to that.
Oh, the Hallmark movie generator.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll see. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, but I think that is it for this week. Thank you guys for watching us as always. We've been in 3 corners and you've been in the fourth, and we will catch you